Chapter 234. Yes, everyone replied. By the way, I heard that the flood dragon was really killed by Yin Chuan. Feng Tairan suddenly smiled and looked at the two swordsmen. Old Six, you tell us. The red-faced man, Gao Bufan, looked at Lu Jianxia and said. The six swordsmen walked out and nodded. Sect leader, it's true. We saw it with our own eyes. It was killed by Yin Chuan and Miss Z. What is Yin Chuan's cultivation now? The cold-faced Taoist nun, Mo Wuhui, asked. At the 9th level of the strength realm. Lu Jianxia said honestly. Impossible. 9th level of the strength realm? How could he kill a peak Qi Jing flood dragon? Feng Xiao shouted. Shower, shut up. The one-armed Feng Tianyu said. Father, this is obviously impossible. How could Yin Chuan kill a flood dragon? Feng Xiao said jealously. Maybe it's because of Miss Z. The cold-faced Taoist nun, Mo Wuhui, said. Yes. Everyone nodded. No, sect leader. Martial uncles, maybe you don't know, but in the mortal world, Yin Chuan had captured two Qi Jing experts. The six swordsmen thought for a while and said, Oh, everyone was slightly surprised. They're the two disciples of King Mai. The six swordsmen told everyone in detail what they knew. Ha, good. Yin Tao really gave birth to a good son. Feng Tairan stroked his beard happily. He's just a little smart. Mo Wuhui said with disdain. Martial sister, isn't it good that Yin Chuan is smart? At least senior apprentice brother Yin Tao has a successor. Gao Bufan said with a smile. Mo Wuhui frowned and didn't say much, but there was a trace of disgust in her eyes. All right, Wuhui, when it's time to let it go, let it go. Feng Tairan advised. Yes. Mo Wuhui sighed. Grandpa, actually Yin Chuan, Feng Xiao frowned again. What's wrong? Feng Tairan asked curiously. Yin Chuan actually brought 3,000 people to the Day sect. What does he think the Day sect is? 3,000 slaves? Our Day sect only has 4,000 people, including those who went out to train. If he brings so many people with him, won't our Day sect's resources be quickly used up? Feng Xiao said indignantly. Xiao, don't be rash. Feng Tianyu glared. Father, I'm telling the truth. The resources of the Day sect were accumulated by all of us. We can't give them to Yin Chuan's slaves. Feng Xiao argued. Oh, then tell me, what should I do? Feng Tairan looked at Sun Zi with a smile. Grandpa, I think that Yin Chuan will only be allowed to bring 10 servants into the Day sect. The rest will be sent back. A sect is a sect. It's completely different from a mortal kingdom. Feng Xiao said in a deep voice. Sent back? Feng Tairan laughed. That's right, Grandpa. Uncles, if you're too embarrassed to say it, then let me do it. I'll bring some third-generation disciples and send them all back. Feng Xiao volunteered. Shut up. Feng Tianyu glared. Hey. Feng Tairan stopped Feng Tianyu scolding. Instead, he smiled at Sun Zi. All right, since that's the case, you can try. However, you have to do it in your own name. We won't interfere. How about it? Feng Tairan smiled. Haha, yes. Grandpa, don't worry. Thank you, Grandpa. Feng Xiao said happily. After being humiliated by Yin Chuan last time, Feng Xiao naturally wanted to get back at him now that he was in his own territory. However, his father didn't allow it. Now that his grandfather allowed it, Feng Xiao was naturally excited. Chapter 235. If you want to find a third-generation disciple, then go. Remember, do it in your own name. Feng Tairan smiled. Yes, grandfather, don't worry. Feng Xiao said excitedly. With that, Feng Xiao rushed out of the hall. Looking at his son's back, Feng Tianyu frowned. Father, Xiao doesn't know any better. Why did you indulge Xiao this? Feng Tianyu was confused. Feng Tairan shook his head. I didn't indulge him. I just want Xiao to suffer. Xiao growth has been too smooth, so he's a little arrogant. I need to make him suffer and wake him up to his own shortcomings. Yin Chuan, if what you said is true, Xiao tricks won't be able to stop Yin Chuan. Moreover, I want to see if my grand disciple is the same as his father. Feng Tairan smiled. The 3,000 embroidered uniform army soldiers climbed through the forest at an extremely fast speed. 10 days later, they arrived at a large river. If we follow this river, we'll reach the Day sect soon, ZZ suddenly said. That's right. It'll take at most half a day's journey. This is actually the territory of the Day sect. Zhu Jiansheng smiled. Since that's the case, I should return to Carefree City. ZZ suddenly said. You're not going back with me? Yin Chuan looked at ZZ with a frown. No, I'm used to living in Carefree City. It's enough to send you here. ZZ shook her head. Yin Chuan looked at ZZ and was silent for a while. All right, if there's anything, inform me immediately. Perhaps in a few days, I'll go to Carefree City to take a look. I'll visit you then. ZZ smiled slightly. 5 swordsmen. Can I trouble you with something? Yin Chuan suddenly looked at the 5 swordsmen. Oh, what is it? The 5 swordsmen were puzzled. The Day sect is in front of us. I don't need protection. Zhu Jiansheng can lead the way. I would like to invite the 5 of you to escort ZZ to Carefree City. Yin Chuan said solemnly. I don't need anyone to send me off. ZZ shook her head. That's right. Who would dare to offend her? The 3 swordsmen also felt strange. However, Yin Chuan shook his head and said, I'll have to trouble the 5 of you. Yin Chuan will remember this favor. The 5 of them looked at each other. Finally, the great swordsman said, All right. The 5 of them nodded. Although he was afraid of ZZ, it was fine as long as he stayed 20 feet away from ZZ. I really don't need it, ZZ said again. I don't feel at ease leaving you alone. Yin Chuan rejected ZZ's excuse. After a moment of silence, ZZ softly said, Oh. She didn't say anything else. Beside the river, Yin Chuan watched ZZ leave. All right, let's go. Zhu Jiansheng looked at Yin Chuan and smiled. Yin Chuan smiled and said, Zhu Jiansheng, I've troubled you these days. Don't mention it. Zhu Jiansheng immediately smiled. The army has been gone for a few days. I want to rest here for a day. We'll continue our journey tomorrow morning. Yin Chuan said, Why? If we speed up, we'll be there before dark. Zhu Jiansheng was puzzled. No, I have my own plans. At the same time, there's something I need your help with. Yin Chuan said with a smile. Oh, Zhu Jiansheng was puzzled. Go back to the Day sect first and inform Feng Tairan. Help me pass a message to him. Yin Chuan's expression gradually became serious. Inform the sect leader? Zhu Jiansheng frowned and looked at Yin Chuan. This was because Yin Chuan's tone did not have a trace of respect for the sect leader. Tell him that I'll arrive at the Day sect at noon tomorrow. Ask Feng Tairan, Mo Wuhui, Gao Bufan, and Feng Tianyu to come out and receive me. Yin Chuan said in a low voice. Zhu Jiansheng looked at Yin Chuan in shock. The sect leader and the 3 peak masters come out and receive you? Such a big show? Are you kidding me? How is this possible? Who do you think you are? Just pass my message. Yin Chuan shook his head and did not explain. Zhu Jiansheng looked at Yin Chuan in confusion. Obviously, he did not believe that the sect leader and the 3 peak masters would specially come out to receive him. However, since Yin Chuan had spoken, Zhu Jiansheng felt that there must be something fishy going on. All right, I'll pass your message. Zhu Jiansheng nodded. Chapter 236. Early the next morning, 3,000 members of the embroidered uniform army were on standby. Lu Jin took out a dragon throne from her spatial scroll. The dragon throne was fixed on a round platform. The platform was guarded by some people who could be carried by 16 members of the embroidered uniform army. My king, aren't we being too arrogant by going to the Day sect like this? Lu Jin asked worriedly. Yin Chuan shook his head gently. Don't worry. The Day sect owes me this. It's not too much to do this. On the contrary, if we don't do this, we will be looked down upon. Yes. Lu Jin said no more. Yin Chuan stepped onto the round platform, swung his robe, and sat on the dragon throne. Rise! Lu Jin shouted. Immediately, 16 members of the embroidered uniform army lifted the dragon platform. Let's go! Hua Guang shouted. Yes. 3,000 members of the embroidered uniform army, followed the river to the north. Yin Chuan sat on the dragon platform and was carried in the middle of the embroidered uniform army. Yin Chuan leaned on the dragon throne and held his chin with his hand. His eyes were slightly dignified. The army slowly moved forward. For hours later, they saw the Day Sect from afar. The Day Sect was a mountain range. It was so big that they couldn't see the end of it. Clouds and mist filled the air, just like the deep mountains and ancient forests that they had come from. The only difference was that the sky was filled with bright yellow clouds. The yellow cloud was about 10 miles in radius, floating high in the sky. From the cloud, a yellow light shone down, enveloping a huge mountain down below. This was the main peak of the Day Sect. Other than this main peak, there were 4 tallest mountains in 4 directions. Obviously, they were the sky, earth, Xian, and yellow peaks of the Day Sect. The yellow clouds shone like a miracle. Hua Guang, Lu Jin, and the others looked forward to it. "My king, what are those yellow clouds?" "What are those yellow clouds?" Lu Jin exclaimed. Yin Chuan looked at the yellow cloud and said indifferently, "The Day Sect's pond of merit." "What pool? What are you talking about, your majesty?" Lu Jin didn't understand. "That's not a yellow cloud. That's the pool of merit. The power bestowed by the heavens can absorb the merits of heaven and earth and bless the Day Sect. It's just the accumulation of the merits accumulated by the Day Sect over the years." Yin Chuan said lightly, "Merit pool? Are those all the legendary virtues that can't be seen? Then, what was the meaning of king and heavenly bestowed power? Could it be that gathering heaven and earth merit requires the permission of the heavens?" Lu Jin was puzzled. "That's right. Without the permission of the heavens, no matter how big, how strong, or how many people a sect has, it's still a mediocre sect. That's because they don't have the protection of the heavens and earth. They only have the permission of the heavens. Just like the Day Sect, it shouldn't have been long ago. Even if it's a mediocre sect, it's still a mediocre sect." Yin Chuan said in a low voice. "Mediocre sect?" Lu Jin was puzzled. The sects in the world should be divided into 3 types: mediocre, superior, and mediocre. With the merits of the Day Sect, it's at most a mediocre sect. The strongest are the superior sects, such as the Sacred Ground and the Dazhao Sacred Ground. The Dazhao Sacred Ground is a superior sect. Yin Chuan introduced. How do we evaluate it?" Lu Jin was confused. "There's no need for you or me to evaluate it. The heavens will evaluate it. The heavens have their own standards." Yin Chuan took a deep breath and said, "Oh." Lu Jin was puzzled. Clearly, she didn't understand it completely. "You'll understand in the future." Yin Chuan smiled. "Then, your majesty, how do we obtain the authorization of the heavens? How does the heavens authorize it?" Hua Guang asked curiously. Chapter 237. "Have you heard of the Heavenly Bestowment Conference?" Yin Chuan asked. "Yes, I have. Mr. Monroe and Zhu Jiansheng mentioned that the old emperor shone brightly at the Heavenly Bestowment Conference." Hua Guang said doubtfully, "The Heavenly Bestowment Conference should be a grand event authorized by the heavens. And from what Wen Ruo and Zhu Jiansheng said, it should be my father who fought for this authorization. The Day Sect was forced to become a lower sect because of my father, Yin Tao." Yin Chuan said with a gloomy expression. "The old emperor?" Lu Jin's eyes flashed with surprise. "Now you know why I have to be so high profile." Yin Chuan said with a smile. "This is the foundation of the old emperor, so it's natural for the king to be high profile. But the old emperor is no longer here, and the other people in the Day Sect may not be loyal to the king. Aren't you afraid that the king's high profile will cause disgust among the inner disciples? After all, we still have to enter the Day Sect." Hua Guang said in confusion. Yin Chuan shook his head gently. "You still don't understand. Think about it again. Now that we have entered the Day Sect and settled down, you will tell me why I have to be so high profile." Yin Chuan said lightly, "Yes, I will do my best to not disappoint the king." Hua Guang said with a serious expression. Let's continue." After that, Yin Chuan said no more. The army slowly moved toward the Day Sect. Day Sect the main peak under the illumination of the Pool of Merit. Halfway up the main peak was a huge palace. The Great River Hall. The Great River Hall was the main hall of the day's sect, where the sect leader discussed matters. Several figures stood on a high platform in front of the Great River Hall. The 6 swordsmen, the 7 swordsmen, and Juji and Sheng stood respectfully at the back. The leader of the day's sect, Feng Tairan, was at the front. Behind Feng Tairan were Earth Peak Lord Mo Wu Hui, Black Peak Lord Feng Tianyu, and Yellow Peak Lord Gao Bufan. The 7 of them stood on the high platform and looked at the distant south of the day's sect, where the embroidered uniform army was slowly approaching. Sect Master, that's what Yin Chuan said. He asked the sect master and the 3 peak masters to go down the mountain to welcome him. Zhu Jiansheng said, his face twitching. Not only Zhu Jiansheng, even the 6 and 7 swordsmen looked at each other in dismay. This Yin Chuan really thought too highly of himself. The sect leader and the peak masters of the 3 peaks were welcoming Li Mu with the grandest ceremony on behalf of the entire day sect. It seemed that when people from the upper sects came, they didn't need to use this kind of etiquette. Ignorant brat, arrogant. And Mo Wu Hui glared at him. Feng Tianyu and Gao Bufan also frowned. Feng Tairan revealed a strange smile and said, "Interesting. It's only been 8 years, but his mind has matured to this extent? Father?" Feng Tianyu looked at Feng Tairan doubtfully. Feng Tairan shook his head gently and said, "Let's wait and see." Yes. The 3 peak masters nodded at the same time. The leaders of the day sect looked at the 3,000 troops slowly approaching from afar. Inside the day sect, there were mountains everywhere. Did you know? Yin Chuan is back today. The son of the previous sect master. That little bastard is back. Not only is he back, I heard that he brought 3,000 slaves with him. 3,000? What a joke, he's crazy. 3,000 people entering the day sect? Did the sect master allow this? They're about to enter the sect. I heard that Feng Xiao of the Black Peak brought a group of people to stop them. What? Feng Xiao, the grandson of the sect master? Let's go and take a look. Chapter 238. It was the busiest day of the day sect. The news of Yin Chuan's imminent arrival spread like wildfire. A large number of day sect disciples rushed to watch the arrival of the army. Black Peak, in a palace halfway up the mountain. A black-robed man stood quietly on a stone platform with a thin sword hanging from his waist. The black-robed man held the thin sword with one hand and looked solemnly outside the day sect, looking at the smoke and dust stirred up by the army of 3,000 in the distance. Eldest senior brother. 2 men came from behind the black-robed man. The eldest senior brother was the one who was put down by Yin Chuan with Feng Xiao, Jiangnan. The 2 men behind Jiang Nan were also poisoned by Yin Chuan that day. Eldest senior brother, Yin Chuan, is about to enter the sect. Previously, Feng Xiao, Martial Uncle Feng Xiao, invited us to stop him. We didn't go. One of them said, "It's best that you didn't go," Jiang Nan said lightly. Eldest senior brother, are we just going to let go of the humiliation of that day? The man frowned. The sect leader won't refuse Yin Chuan. Even if Feng Xiao stops Yin Chuan, the sect leader will let him in. If we go now, we'll only make a fool of ourselves. We'll talk about the humiliation of the past in the future. Jiang Nin said in a low voice. Yes, we'll listen to eldest senior brother. The 2 men nodded. The 3 of them were silent for a while, quietly looking outside the mountain gate in the distance. Sitting lazily on the dragon platform, Yin Chuan held his chin and looked at the approaching day sect's mountain gate. At the mountain gate, there was a huge stone tablet with the words day sect written forcefully on it. There was a faint fog all around, but it was already noon. The fog could only mean one thing. The day sect had a protective mountain array that hadn't been activated yet. Vaguely, Yin Chuan could see that the inside of the day sect was crowded with people. Obviously, many people were paying attention to his group. At this moment, there were 200 cultivators at the entrance of the mountain. All of them were ready to fight, and their expressions were filled with hostility. Among them, there were 10 that Yin Chuan recognized. They were the people who had been killed by Yin Chuan's poisonous smoke back then. Their leader was the grandson of the sect master, Feng Xiao, whose trachea was choked by a grape. Yin Chuan's lips curled into a faint smile. "Stop right there," Feng Xiao suddenly shouted. Holding a sword, Feng Xiao stepped in front of the 200 cultivators and coldly stared at Yin Chuan, who was on the dragon platform. The army paused, and Yin Chuan looked at Feng Xiao. "What? Didn't you hear Zhu Jiansheng's words? Did the Day sect only send you to welcome me?" Yin Chuan asked indifferently. "Bah, I welcome you? In your dreams." Feng Xiao berated. "Since you're not, then don't block the way." Yin Chuan said indifferently. "Block the way? So what if we block your way?" "Yin Chuan, listen to me. Grandfather will let you enter the Day sect out of pity. Don't be ungrateful." Feng Xiao shouted. "Oh, how'd I not know what's good for me?" Yin Chuan said indifferently. What's the meaning of bringing so many people? You listen to me. I'll allow you to bring at most 3 slaves into the Day sect. The rest of you scram." Feng Xiao shouted. "Is this Feng Tyrant's idea?" Yin Chuan asked in a deep voice. "No, it's my idea." Feng Xiao immediately shouted. "So, the Day sect master has changed again? You, Feng Xiao, are the new sect master?" Yin Chuan smiled. "You? Yin Chuan, as long as I'm here today, you can forget about entering the Day sect." Feng Xiao said anxiously. Yin Chuan looked at the peaks of the Day sect, surrounded by clouds, and smiled. "Hua Guang," Yin Chuan said indifferently. "Here, the First Legion will open the way. Kill anyone who dares to block the way." Yin Chuan shouted. "Yes, kill anyone who dares to block the way." Feng Xiao's face twitched. Chapter 239. Hua Guang. Yin Chuan said indifferently. "Present, the First Legion will lead the way. Anyone who dares to block the way will be killed." Yin Chuan shouted. "Yes, anyone who dared to block the road would be killed." Feng Xiao's face twitched. "Square formation," Hua Guang shouted. "Roar." The army of 3,000 immediately formed a military formation, protecting Yin Chuan in the center as the army marched forward. Boom, boom, boom. Their neat footsteps revealed the ferocity of the battlefield. "Stop right there," Feng Xiao shouted. Hua Guang's eyes widened as he shouted, "Target 100 feet ahead. Ka 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 ka." At the front of the phalanx, 600 shooting sun arrows were loaded. Their target was Feng Xiao's group. The faces of the Day sect disciples suddenly changed. Xing, Xing, Xing. They quickly pulled out their swords and magic treasures and stared at the group of cultivators before them in shock. "Mortal? Had these mortals gone mad? How dare you attack us? Courting death. What an idiot." Everyone's expression was unsightly. "Release," Hua Guang ordered. Bam, bam, bam. The 600 shooting sun arrows immediately turned into 600 streams of light and shot towards the 200 Day sect disciples. "Ah, bastard." Everyone's expression changed. Boom. Some people quickly jumped away, while others used their magic treasures to block the incoming swords. Boom. The small hill where Feng Xiao was originally located was completely destroyed by the 600 shooting sun arrows. Out of the 200 elite realms, 4 or 5 of them were grazed by the shooting sun arrows. None of them had expected that this group of mortals would dare to attack them in their own territory. "You're courting death." A Xiuzha quickly raised a large blade and charged towards the army from a side. "Release!" Boom. 10 of the embroidered uniformed soldiers stared at the Xiuzha and quickly released 5 shooting sun arrows. Boom. The Xiuzha was knocked away by the power of the shooting sun arrow, but it was not over yet. There were 10 people staring at him, but only 5 arrows were shot. The other 5 had not shot before and only released them now. Boom. 5 streaks of flowing light shot over. The Xiuzha had used up all his strength, and before he could form a new one, he instantly showed a terrified expression. Dang, dang, dang. 3 Xiuzha quickly rushed over to help him block the 5 fatal streaks of light. Crack, crack. However, With the participation of these 3 people, the embroidered army spontaneously aimed another 30 sun shooting bows at them. Bam! 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 Under the suppression of the rain of arrows, the group of Xiuzha immediately became disheveled. When the battle started, almost all of the 200 Xiuzha charged forward. No one expected Yin Chuan to make a move, and even more so, they didn't expect him to make a move so quickly. Moreover, this group of mortals actually had a cultivator's magical treasure and could suppress a dignified expert like himself. Bam! 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 The army was well trained. In the blink of an eye, they divided up the work. One squad leader kept an eye on one Xiuzha, and the 200 Xiuzha were suppressed in the blink of an eye. The group of Xiuzha fled in all directions. However, before the shooting sun arrows, they could not hide. They jumped up and down, as if they were sent flying by a group of mortals. Amidst the billowing dust, the cries of Xiuzha and the figures sent flying could be heard everywhere. The scene was very disharmonious. Inside the Day sect, countless pairs of eyes showed confusion. Mortals? These are mortals? Chapter 240. Am I seeing things? Those elite realms of the Black Peak were bullied by a group of mortals. On the Black Peak, Jiangnan grabbed his sword hilt, his eyes gloomy. Eldest senior brother is wise. If we had agreed with Feng Xiao, we would be the ones losing face now. Someone behind him said, Yeah, how did this group of mortals improve their fighting strength so quickly? Yin Chuan, Jiangnan squinted his eyes, his tone extremely heavy. On the square in front of the Great River Hall, Sect Leader Feng Tairan led a group of people and looked down. Sect Leader, as I said earlier, this group of mortals is extremely strong. Last time, the 200 demon snakes were killed by them. Zhu Jiansheng said worriedly. Too arrogant. Yin Chuan is too arrogant. Mo Wuhui said coldly. Feng Tairan shook his head gently and said no. Well done. Zhu Jiansheng and the rest were confused. Feng Tairan stroked his white beard and smiled. He has Yin Tao style. But Sect Leader, I am worried that the disciples are not a match for the genie army. What if? Zhu Jiansheng said worriedly. Yin Chuan did not kill them. Don't worry, Feng Tairan said with a smile. But he said to kill? Zhu Jiansheng still did not understand. He said to kill, but there was a precondition. Anyone who dares to block the path, kill. The precondition was to block Yin Chuan's path. These third-generation disciples attacked from both sides, so the genie army left them a way out. Feng Tairan said with a smile. Zhu Jiansheng said in surprise. With such a disciple, Yin Tao can smile in the underworld. Feng Tairan suddenly sighed. Sect Leader, your evaluation of Yin Chuan is too high. Can he be compared to Yin Tao? Mo Wuhui frowned. Didn't you notice? From the beginning to the end, Yin Chuan's eyelids did not even twitch. Feng Tairan said with a smile. Oh, everyone looked over again. In the distance, cultivators flew into the air, kicking up dust and smoke from the battlefield. 2,000 embroidered uniform army soldiers suppressed the cultivators. 1,000 embroidered uniform army soldiers protected Yin Chuan as they continued their journey to the Day sect. Yin Chuan sat on the dragon platform. He continued to lazily rest his chin on his hand, allowing the dragon platform to steadily move towards the interior of the Day sect. Huoguang led the way. There was only one person standing in Huoguang's way, Feng Xiao. Feng Xiao still felt like his head was stuck. How could that be? How could Yin Chuan dare to make a move? How dare he? Feng Xiao said with an ugly expression. Ta ta ta. As the army drew closer, Feng Xiao's expression turned increasingly ugly as he listened to the screams of his martial nephews. Martial uncle, save me. Someone cried out. Martial uncle. As the cultivators shouted, Feng Xiao also felt very anxious. He wanted to stop this chaotic battle, but he realized how powerless he was. Yin Chuan, stop! Stop! Feng Xiao roared. Naturally, Yin Chuan would not listen to him. The army ignored him even more. They slowly advanced, getting closer and closer. Martial uncle, The shouts all around made Feng Xiao's immature mind unable to bear it. Capture the ringleader first? Yes, yes. I will control Yin Chuan. This group of mortals will not dare to make a move. Feng Xiao's eyes suddenly lit up. Xing! Feng Xiao swung his sword and charged towards Yin Chuan, who was in the middle of the army. How dare you? Hua Guang stepped forward. Feng Xiao did not care about Hua Guang's advance. He was just a mortal. What could a mortal do to him? Great River Chop. Feng Xiao glared. The sword in his hand immediately drew a bright sword beam. Chapter 241. Army Destroyer. Hua Guang shouted. Boom! Hua Guang's silver aura suddenly expanded. A violent aura shot out. The ferocious army destroyer willpower directly hit Feng Xiao's willpower. Wong! Feng Xiao seemed to see a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. The illusion of countless corpses suddenly appeared, and Feng Xiao's expression changed. Damn! The two weapons collided. In one exchange, Feng Xiao was sent flying by Hua Guang. Boom! Feng Xiao crashed into a huge rock. The huge rock shattered. Feng Xiao couldn't get up under this attack. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Puff! Feng Xiao's eyes were filled with disbelief. A mortal? He was beaten up like this by a mortal? This blow was too big. It wasn't just a physical blow. It was more of a mental blow. He was defeated by a mortal? Was he really a good-for-nothing? Feng Xiao, who was mentally hurt, glanced at Yin Chuan, who was on the dragon platform. He happened to see Yin Chuan's gaze. Yin Chuan looked at Feng Xiao and revealed a faint smile. However, in Feng Xiao's eyes, this smile was like a slap to his face. His previous glamour had been beaten to a pulp. When he was young, he was bullied by Yin Chuan. A year ago, he was bullied by Yin Chuan. Now, he was bullied by Yin Chuan. Was he really so useless? Feng Xiao burst into tears as he felt wronged. Yin Chuan smiled faintly. He didn't mock or look down on Feng Xiao. He just found it interesting. Although Feng Xiao was a dandy, arrogant, and immature, at the very least he wasn't too shrewd. At the very least, he lived a very realistic life. Of course, it was just a smile. The army continued to advance into the day sect. Yin Chuan turned his gaze to the main peak again. The fighting around them gradually stopped. More than 200 elite realm warriors were in a sorry state. They were injured and lying on the ground. Looking at the embroidered army gradually entering the day sect, they all had complicated expressions. After this wave of attacks, there were no more obstacles. Even when they arrived at the mountain gate, there was only a group of onlookers. No one stepped forward to stop them. Tap, tap, tap. The army marched into the interior of the day sect in an orderly fashion. They followed the main road and headed toward the main peak. More and more disciples gathered around. The embroidered uniform army continued to do as they pleased. Not long after, the army arrived at the foot of the main peak. Stop, Hua Guang ordered. At the foot of the main peak, the group of mountain guards revealed confused expressions, not knowing what to do. Yin Chuan sat on the dragon platform and looked up at the mountain peak. Your Majesty, do you want to go up the mountain? Hua Guang asked. Yin Chuan coldly looked at the mountain and shook his head. No need. Prepare the troops and wait. Understood, Hua Guang replied. The army slowly stood behind the dragon platform. Yin Chuan sat on the dragon platform and waited quietly. On the main peak, in front of the Great River Hall, Feng Tianyu's expression was complicated. His son actually lost to the man with the spear in a single exchange? Father, Xiaori, Feng Tianyu said with an ugly expression. Life has to go through stages. After today, Xiao will definitely understand. Don't worry. This is for his own good. Don't spoil him too much. Feng Tairan shook his head. Sectmaster, Yin Chuan stopped at the foot of the mountain. What should we do now? Gao Bufan asked doubtfully. He is still sitting on the dragon platform. How arrogant, Mo Wuhui said unhappily. Sectmaster, why don't I go down and bring Yin Chuan up? Zhu Jianxing asked kindly. He hoped to ease Yin Chuan's awkward attitude. No need. Since he is already here, the few of us will go down to welcome him. Feng Tairan said with a smile. Ah. Zhu Jianxing looked at Feng Tairan in surprise. Go down together? Are we really going to welcome him together? Chapter 242. Yin Chuan sat lazily on the dragon platform, allowing the day sect disciples to point at him. He continued to stare coldly at the main peak. The surroundings gradually quieted down. Feng Xiao walked into the day sect with his injuries. Jiang then also walked down from the Black Peak. The Qi and Essence State disciples of the day sect gradually surrounded Yin Chuan's army. Their expressions were complicated. Yin Chuan? It was a name that made everyone confused. The son of the previous sect master would return one day, but no one expected him to return so arrogantly. Was he trying to join the day sect? Everyone was confused. They had never seen such an arrogant disciple. It was as if the day sect wanted to worship him. While the day sect disciples were confused, a white cloud slowly descended from the main peak. Is that the sect master? Ah, the three peak masters? Why are they here together? Looks like Yin Chuan is in trouble. Yeah, I wonder how the sect master will teach this kid a lesson. All the disciples of the Great River sect stared at him curiously. Feng Xiao clutched his chest that was injured by Huoguang. His expression was gloomy. Jiang then squinted his eyes. Feng Tairan led the crowd and slowly descended. Yin Chuan ignored the others. He stared at the white cloud and the crowd on it. When Yin Chuan saw that everyone had landed, the graveness that he had been hiding in his eyes slowly disappeared. Phew! The white cloud dispersed, and the crowd landed in front of the embroidered uniform army. Greetings, Sect Master. Greetings, Peak Masters. Greetings, Sect Master. The day sect disciples greeted respectfully. Yin Chuan waved his hand gently. Lu Ji nodded and quickly ordered the embroidered uniform army to lower the dragon platform. When the dragon platform landed, Yin Chuan stood up gently. With the Jade Emperor sword on his back, he slowly walked forward. The embroidered uniform guards opened up a path for Yin Chuan. The breeze gently blew Yin Chuan's long robe. Yin Chuan's expression gradually turned serious as he walked towards Feng Tairan. Feng Tairan also stared at Yin Chuan. Yin Chuan slowly walked closer before stopping. Feng Tairan, Yin Chuan said in a deep voice. Audacious. Is the name of the sect master something you can call? Mo Wu Hui glared at him. Yin Chuan, sect master is your father's master. You should call him Grandmaster. Gao Bufan said with a smile. Grandmaster? Yin Chuan shook his head and sneered. Yin Chuan's tone was full of sarcasm, so much so that all the day sect disciples around him could hear it. Everyone glared at Yin Chuan. Do you think I'm not qualified? Feng Tairan frowned. My father, the former sect master of the day sect, was forced to die in front of everyone. What are you doing, Feng Tairan? What are the people of the day sect doing? He was the sect master, a sect master. How could you just watch him be forced to die? Do you think you can be my grandmaster? Yin Chuan shook his head. Yin Tao asked for it. He, Mo Wu Hui shouted. Wu Hui. Feng Tairan interrupted Mo Wu Hui's words. Sect master? Mo Wu Hui frowned. Yin Chuan is right. A sect master was forced to die, and his disciple was forced to die in front of me. I am indeed not qualified to be Yin Tao's master. This is the weakness of the day sect. Feng Tairan shook his head. Yin Chuan stared at Feng Tairan. He took a deep breath, but his face was inexplicably relaxed. You didn't have to wait for my father's death, but you were responsible for it. Although I wasn't there, I can guess why my father was forced to die in the day sect and not somewhere else. To be able to force my father to die and make the entire day sect helpless, it must be a strong person that the day sect cannot provoke. My father protected the day sect with his life. This shows that my father loved the day sect, and he must have respected you, Yin Chuan said in a deep voice. Chapter 243. Everyone was silent for a while. My father respects you, and you don't have to break your master-disciple relationship because of me. However, from my point of view, even though you are my father's master, I will not recognize you as my ancestor. You are you, and I am me. I came to the day sect only to inherit what my father left behind. Yin Chuan said in a deep voice. Hearing Yin Chuan's words, Feng Tairan's eyes flashed with a trace of surprise. If Yin Tao knew in the underworld, he would definitely be pleased with you. Feng Tyran laughed. Everyone was at a loss, unable to understand Feng Tyran's mentality. Yin Chuan scolded you, and you actually laughed? So happy? Of course, I came today to inherit Heaven Peak, become the Peak Master of Heaven Peak, and take back my father's things. Yin Chuan laughed. Yin Chuan's laughter also stunned many cultivators. They also couldn't understand Yin Chuan. Just a moment ago, he had a deep hatred, but in the blink of an eye he laughed. What did he mean? Only Feng Tyran's eyes flickered as he looked solemnly at Yin Chuan, as if he was looking at a treasure. Are you sure you want to inherit Heaven Peak? Feng Tyran confirmed again. Isn't this what you want? Yin Chuan laughed. Feng Tyran let out a long sigh. At this moment, he was sure that Yin Chuan had accepted the Day sect because of his father's love for the sect. There was no resistance. The inheritance of a sect not only required experts, but also disciples who accepted the sect. Otherwise, once a disaster struck, they would all go their separate ways. Rather than accepting 10 geniuses with uncertain temperament, it was better to accept one mediocre person who was loyal to the sect. At least, the sect could be passed down in any storm. Welcome back. Feng Tyran laughed. Your calmness made me understand that my father's death back then wasn't in vain. Yin Chuan let out a long sigh and laughed. Uh-huh. Feng Tyran laughed. But Yin Chuan could hear the bitterness in Feng Tyran's laughter. Many people did not understand the conversation between the two of them. They even felt that it was ridiculous. Feng Xiao and Jiang Nin both opened their mouths in shock. The two of them asked and answered, why did it sound so inexplicable? Take out the Tian Su and name me now. Yin Chuan said indifferently. All right, Feng Tyran replied. Sectmaster. Mo Wu Hui immediately called out. Feng Tyran looked at Mo Wu Hui in confusion. Are you really going to let him be the Peak Master of Heaven Peak? What qualifications does he have? Mo Wu Hui cried out. Is it because he is Yin Chuan's son? Mo Wu Hui asked in a low voice. That's not all. Feng Tyran shook his head. Oh, Mo Wu Hui was puzzled. He is qualified to do so. Feng Tyran laughed. What qualifications? Mo Wu Hui still didn't understand. Just like back then, why did I pass the position to Yin Tao? My foresight has never been wrong. Wu Hui, don't object. Feng Tyran laughed. Mo Wu Hui's eyes narrowed. Not only Mo Wu Hui, but Gao Bufan and Feng Tianyu also looked at Yin Chuan in surprise. Yes, Mo Wu Hui nodded. But this scene, in the eyes of the group of second-generation disciples, was so inconceivable. Zhu Jiansheng said that Yin Chuan could be the Peak Master, but that was only in theory. There had never been a Peak Master of the Essence Realm. In the crowd, Jiang Nan's face was ugly, and Feng Xiao's face was complicated. But the Sect Master and the 3 Peak Masters had agreed, and there was no way to refute. Feng Tyran stretched out his hand, and a 10-feet-long yellow scroll suddenly appeared in the void. Rumble! The pool of merit in the sky suddenly churned, as if it was responding to the scroll. Chapter 244. On the back of the scroll, there were the words Tian Su. The 2 words were faintly discernible, and upon closer inspection, they seemed to be moving slowly. On the front, there were 5 columns of text. Except for the first column, there was a blood-red fingerprint at the end of each column. Day Sect bestowed by the heavens. Sect Leader, Feng Tyran. Earth Peak Lord, Mo Wu Hui. Black Peak Lord, Feng Tianyu. Yellow Peak Lord, Gao Bufan. This was the Tian Su. The Tian Su floated in the air. Feng Tyran stretched out his hand and waved at the Tian Su. Above the Tian Su, a line of small words suddenly appeared slowly. Heaven Peak Lord, Yin Chuan. A line of words appeared. Feng Tyran's forehead broke out in cold sweat and said with some difficulty, You do it. Yin Chuan nodded. His finger slightly drew a line, and a trace of essence blood appeared on his fingertip. With his fingertip, he pressed below his name. Boom! The pool of merit in the sky exploded, and then a dazzling yellow light fell from the sky and went straight into Yin Chuan's body. Yin Chuan closed his eyes and suddenly inhaled deeply, as if he was accepting the yellow light. Feng Tairan smiled, waved his hand, and the Tian suddenly disappeared, as if it had never been there. It was not until 10 breaths later that Yin Chuan suddenly opened his eyes. How is it? Feng Tairan smiled. Merit into the body, washing away the negative karma. Yin Chuan smiled. Feng Tairan nodded. Yin Chuan stretched out his hand, and a yellow ball of light slowly appeared in his palm. He turned his head to look at the 3,000 embroidered army soldiers. He stretched out his hand. Bang! The yellow light suddenly enlarged, like a handful of sand fog, enveloping the 3,000 embroidered army soldiers. The 3,000 embroidered army soldiers suddenly trembled. King, why did my heart palpitate just now? Hua Guang asked in amazement. From now on, through me, you are connected to the pool of merit. Yin Chuan smiled. Connected to the pool of merit? Hua Guang was puzzled. That's right. Although you can't wash away most of your negative karma like me, at least you have a much higher chance of success in the sect than in the outside world, because this pool of merit will protect you. Yin Chuan said with a smile. Yes. Hua Guang didn't understand, but he knew it wasn't the time to ask. Do you need me to guide you to the heavenly peak? Feng Tairan asked. There's no need for that. Zhu Jiansheng can lead the way for me. Once I've settled down, I'll come find you. Yin Chuan shook his head. All right. Feng Tairan nodded. With that, Feng Tairan waved his sleeve, and another white cloud floated up, carrying him and the 3 peak masters up the mountain. Many disciples of the Day sect looked confused, including Zhu Jiansheng, the 6 swordsmen, and the 7 swordsmen. Yin Chuan watched the 4 of them go up the mountain and said to Hua Guang, Do you understand what I asked you to think about earlier? Hua Guang's expression changed, and he immediately said solemnly, Yes, I understand. Oh, tell me. Yin Chuan looked at Hua Guang. King's high profile was actually to test sect leader Feng Tairan, to see if the Day sect was worth the old emperor sacrifice. The conversation between King and sect leader Feng Tairan just now was actually a mutual test between King and Feng Tairan. In the end, King approved of the Day sect and stayed. Hua Guang thought and said, That's right. Although the Day sect is a lesser sect, it's still nothing in my eyes. Yin Chuan said indifferently. King, I'm curious. If Feng Tairan didn't satisfy King just now, what would King do? Hua Guang asked curiously. Didn't satisfy me? Yin Chuan narrowed his eyes, and a cold glint flashed in his eyes. Although Yin Chuan didn't say it out loud, Hua Guang had followed Yin Chuan for so long that he naturally understood the meaning in his eyes. If the Day sect wasn't worth Yin Tao's sacrifice, would King destroy the Day sect? Destroy the Day sect? Hua Guang's heart was in turmoil. Chapter 245. While Yin Chuan and Hua Guang were whispering, Zhu Jiansheng and the rest walked over. Zhu Jiansheng, the 6 swordsmen, and the 7 swordsmen all had strange expressions on their faces. Greetings, Peak Lord of Heavenly Peak. The 3 of them said, Thank you for taking care of me all this time. If you need anything in the future, feel free to look for me. Yin Chuan said with a smile. The 3 of them were slightly stunned. At the same time, Zhu Jiansheng suddenly understood why Yin Chuan did not address him as senior brother. It turned out that he was waiting for this. Junior brother? I will try my best to refine qi into spirit. Zhu Jiansheng said sullenly. I'll be waiting. Yin Chuan said with a smile. Let's go. I'll bring you to Heavenly Peak. Although no one has lived here for 7 years, is still cleaned frequently. Zhu Jiansheng led the way. Wait! Suddenly, a shout came from the crowd. Everyone turned their heads to look. A black-robed man slowly walked out from the crowd. It was the 3rd-generation senior brother, Jiang Nan. Jiang Nan held the hilt of his sword and frowned. He looked at Yin Chuan with a complicated expression. The humiliation of the past was still vivid in his mind. Sprout? He said he was a sprout? After returning to the sect, he cultivated day and night just to wash away the humiliation of the past. Finally, he reached the complete realm of essence, and Yin Chuan came to the sect. However, in the blink of an eye, Yin Chuan became a first-generation disciple. How could he take revenge? The moment Feng Tyrant agreed, Jiang Nan almost roared. Jiang Nan? What do you want? Zhu Jianxing said with a frown. Jiang Nan was a genius. Zhu Jianxing also knew that he would become his junior brother soon. Zhu Jianxing did not put on airs. I, Jiang Nan, as the third-generation senior disciple, challenged the Peak Lord of Heavenly Peak. Please enlighten me, Jiang Nan said solemnly. Hua! Jiang Nan's words caused an uproar. Challenge? Eldest senior brother wants to challenge Yin Chuan? Did I hear it wrong? Eldest senior brother is in the perfection of the essence state. Challenge Yin Chuan? Isn't this obvious bullying? But eldest senior brother is only a third-generation disciple. Challenging a first-generation disciple is against the rules. Who wants Yin Chuan to be so arrogant? Eldest senior brother wants to suppress his arrogance. The challenge is right. Everyone was talking about it. Jiang Nan, pay attention to your status. You are at the peak of the essence realm, and Peak Master Tian has just joined the sect. Zhu Jianxing said in a deep voice. That's right. Your cultivation base is much higher compared to Peak Master Tian. Is this a challenge? Asked the sixth swordsman with a frown. No, strength is not something that can be measured by cultivation base. A year ago, Jiang Nan was defeated by Peak Lord Tian. Martial Uncle can testify. Today, Jiang Nan only wishes to verify the results of a year's worth of cultivation. I beg Peak Lord Tian to grant me my wish. Jiang Nan was unyielding. A year ago, eldest senior brother lost to Yin Chuan? No way. The surrounding Day sect disciples were all in disbelief. Among the third-generation disciples, Jiang Nan was the strongest. Although Yin Chuan was a first-generation disciple, he had just joined the sect. How could he defeat Jiang Nan? I beg Peak Master Tian to grant my wish. Jiang Nan said again. Zhu Jianxing looked at Yin Chuan awkwardly. Yin Chuan smiled and said, I don't like this kind of competition. Some people around immediately looked at him with disdain. They thought that Yin Chuan was afraid. If you don't like to fight, then what is the sword on your back for? Jiang Nan was unyielding. Chapter 246. My Jade Emperor sword doesn't fight. It only kills. Doesn't fight, only kills? Everyone's face twitched. The Heavenly Peak Master was indeed arrogant. Jiang Nan was also depressed and was about to speak again. You are close to the second stage of the heavenly tribulation. Consolidate it properly. Don't cause trouble everywhere before transcending the tribulation and leave behind hidden dangers. You only have one life. Cherish it. Yin Chuan shook his head and said lightly, Me? Cause trouble everywhere? Jiang Nan was furious. Oh, by the way, my Heavenly Peak Master will also undergo the tribulation tomorrow. It might cause a big commotion. Your tribulation will come again slowly. Yin Chuan said indifferently. As he spoke, Yin Chuan no longer paid any attention to Jiang Nan, and he looked at Zhu Jianxing and said, Let's go. Zhu Jianxing smiled bitterly and nodded. He led Yin Chuan's army and left. Why? Do I have to ask you for permission to undergo the tribulation? Jiang Nan said sullenly. A few of Jiang Nan's followers surrounded Yin Chuan and scolded him for a while. Feng Xiao, who was not far away, had a complicated expression as he watched the army leave. He frowned and looked at Jiang Nan, who was not far away. Martial Uncle Feng Xiao, what should we do? Are we just going to let this go? A disciple asked Feng Xiao. I must take revenge for the humiliation. I will teach Yin Chuan a lesson. However, I must strengthen myself. I was too arrogant in the past. While I become stronger, I will find Yin Chuan for revenge. Feng Xiao said coldly. Feng Xiao did not realize that he had undergone a huge change after this battle. At the very least, he was more ambitious than before. Along the way, Zhu Jianxing, the six swordsmen, and the seven swordsmen looked at Yin Chuan from time to time. Martial Uncle Yin. Zhu Jianxing's face twitched. What? Martial Uncle Yin, why didn't you fight just now? As long as you enter the state of blood, you should be able to use this to establish your prestige. The disciples in the sect will not dare to underestimate you. Ha ha ha, is there a need? Moreover, fighting with Jiang Nen really doesn't interest me. My sword likes to kill more. Yin Chuan smiled. Okay. Zhu Jiansheng and the others thought that Yin Chuan was pretending, but they couldn't expose him. They could only nod their heads with black lines on their faces. It didn't take long for them to arrive at Sky Peak. Sky Peak was located in the northwest of the Dace sect. It was the main peak, surrounded by many smaller peaks. The mountainside of the heavenly peak had also been leveled, and a large number of palaces had been built. Everyone arrived at the waist of the mountain and looked at the main hall. King of Hell's Palace. Hua Guang read out the palace's name. This is the name that Martial Uncle Yin Tao changed back then. The Peak Lord can make a name for it. Martial Uncle Yin, what name do you want it to be? Zhu Jiansheng explained. King of Hell's Palace? Not bad, I like this name. Let's do it. Yin Chuan smiled. Yes. Everyone nodded. Sky Peak, King of Hell's Palace? Hua Guang, let the soldiers find a place to rest for the night. Tomorrow morning, prepare for the tribulation. Yin Chuan said. Yes. Hua Guang replied. The next morning, the sky had just brightened. The valley below Sky Peak was already filled with people. The 3,000 soldiers looked at Yin Chuan, who was standing at the front in high spirits. Zhu Jiansheng, the 6 swordsmen, and the 7 swordsmen were all looking at him expectantly. Lu Jin, you start first. Trigger the tribulation. Yin Chuan ordered. Yes. Lu Jin nodded. Rumble. Suddenly, rumbling sounds came from the interior of the Dace sect. The disciples who woke up early all looked at the Sky Peak in the northwest. At the Black Peak, Jiangnan also saw the dark clouds in the distance. Chapter 247. First Tribulation Cloud. Jiangnan said disdainfully. 2 people stood beside Jiangnan. Why? This Yin Chuan is too domineering. He wants to undergo tribulation. Why can't he let senior brother undergo tribulation too? One of Jiangnan's followers said unhappily. Yeah, he's only going through the first tribulation. Senior brother is going through the second tribulation. The other person said. The more they talked, the uglier Jiangnan's face became. Yeah, why should I listen to you? Looking at the tribulation cloud in the distance, Jiangnan felt more and more uncomfortable. Protect me later. I'm going to undergo tribulation. Jiangnan said with a gloomy face. Senior brother, you're going to fight with Yin Chuan? What do you mean fight? How can his first tribulation compare to senior brother's second tribulation? Senior brother is going to teach Yin Chuan a lesson. Don't be so arrogant. Yes. He must at least crush Yin Chuan in terms of momentum. Let's see how arrogant he can be in the future. At the heavenly peak, the moment Lu Jin attracted the tribulation, the merit pool on the main peak suddenly stirred. Then, rays of yellow light rushed toward Lu Jin and enveloped Lu Jin. Rumble. The tribulation cloud was getting lower and lower. The pressure of the heavens caused smoke and dust to rise from below. King, was it the merit that poured into Lu Jin's body? Hua Guang asked curiously. That's right. When merit enters the body, it will reduce the damage of the tribulation. The success rate will be greatly increased. Yin Chuan explained. So it's like wearing a suit of armor? You can say that. Yin Chuan smiled. Just as Lu Jin was feeling the tribulation, a series of roars came from the southeast. Rumble. Dark clouds covered the southeast, and thunder and lightning kept roaring. The tribulation cloud was getting bigger and bigger. In the blink of an eye, it was 10,000 feet high. The thunder was much louder than Lu Jin's. Its momentum was more than 10 times that of Lu Jin's tribulation cloud. Black Peak also has people transcending tribulation? Zhu Jiansheng said in surprise. The 6 swordsmen frowned and said, the second heavenly thunder tribulation, is it Jiangnan? Yin Chuan coldly glanced in the southwest direction. Don't worry about him. Let's continue. Begin. Yin Chuan shouted. Yes. The 3,000 soldiers shouted in unison. Boom. The 3,000 soldiers unleashed their auras at almost the same time. For a moment, a strong gale swept through the valley, sending sand and stones flying. Rumble. The tribulation clouds above the heaven peak suddenly expanded once more. And at the black peak, Jiangnan revealed a proud smile as he looked at the tribulation clouds that were 10 times larger than Tianfeng's. It was as if he could finally release the resentment he had accumulated over the past year. Boom, 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 boom. Within the thunderclouds, 9 bolts of heavenly lightning struck down at the same time, heading straight for Jiangnan. Roar! Jiangnan's long sword slashed towards the 9 heavenly thunders in the sky. Boom! The lightning and sword collided, causing lightning to splatter in all directions. The entire valley was filled with electric arcs, and the entire valley was extremely dazzling. After the first round of lightning, Jiangnan's hair was only a little messy. It was a very successful first strike. Jiangnan glanced at the heaven peak. Rumble. The heavenly thunder tribulation had yet to begin, but the original tribulation clouds suddenly expanded. They were getting bigger and bigger. What's going on? Jiangnan rubbed his eyes and asked in disbelief. The protector at the side shouted, "Senior brother, I don't know either. The tribulation clouds above the heaven peak are getting bigger and bigger." Why are they so big? Rumble. The tribulation clouds above the heaven peak continued to expand. In the blink of an eye, it went from 1,000 feet to 100,000 feet, from 100,000 feet to 100,000 feet. The rolling tribulation clouds let out heavy, thunderous roars, causing the entire day sect to be unable to breathe. Countless disciples were petrified as they looked at the heaven peak. The first heavenly tribulation clouds are so big. What kind of joke is this? Damn it. Is this the first heavenly tribulation clouds? Am I blind? Oh. Chapter 248. Rumble. The tribulation clouds rumbled and weighed heavily on the hearts of all the day sect disciples. The first tribulation cloud of the heavenly peak. The second tribulation cloud of the black peak. Logically speaking, the second tribulation cloud of the heavenly peak should be stronger than the first tribulation cloud of the heavenly peak. However, at this moment, countless disciples were staring at the first tribulation cloud of the heavenly peak. Everyone had gone through the first tribulation cloud of the heavenly peak, but they had never gone through such a grand tribulation cloud. The rumbling tribulation clouds covered the sky and the earth. Tens of thousands of thunder roared and shook the heavens and earth. On the main peak, Feng Tairan and the other 3 peak masters were also looking at the 2 tribulation clouds. First heavenly peak, 3,000 people going through the tribulation together. This is a grand occasion throughout the ages. Gao Bufan said with a smile. What grand occasion? It's only the first heavenly peak. Mo Wuhui said sarcastically. Your disciple is right. Yin Chuan will cause trouble wherever he goes, just like Yin Tao back then. Feng Tairan laughed. Same? Mo Wuhui snorted. Feng Tairan looked at Mo Wuhui and shook his head with a bitter smile. Black Peak. Rumble, rumble. The second tribulation lightning struck again. Jiangnan slashed towards the tribulation lightning again. At the same time, he looked at the direction of the heavenly peak with an ugly expression. The rumbling black clouds of the heavenly peak suddenly exploded. Rumble. The first tribulation lightning had begun. Rumble, 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 rumble. The heavens and earth lit up. 3,000 tribulation lightning struck simultaneously. It was as if the heavenly river was pouring down. It was an incomparably spectacular sight. Furthermore, it was not the river water that was pouring down, but lightning. Endless lightning. The lightning was rolling like a river. All the day's sect disciples sucked in a breath of cold air. When had they ever seen such a spectacular sight? Was this a tribulation? This was a baptism of lightning. This was playing with one's life. The first tribulation of the heavenly peak had the effect of the fourth heavenly peak. No, even the fourth heavenly peak was not as shocking as this. It was too much, too fast. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The lightning continued to strike, as if the heavenly peak was being punished by the heavens. Xianfeng, Jiangnan's face instantly darkened. The trace of pride from before had long since vanished. He had wanted to use the aura of the heavenly tribulation to suppress Yin Chuan, but now it was like a slap to his face, the kind that made a crisp sound. At this moment, Jiangnan didn't know why, but he suddenly thought of a word: overconfident. Boom, boom, boom. The second round of 9 heavenly thunders struck down. Jiangnan vented his anger by slashing towards the sky. Boom! The lightning was dazzling. Xiao Chun chopped down the third round of heavenly lightning with a single sword strike. The sword's momentum was ferocious, and sword energy shot out in all directions. Xiao Chun could be a role model for thousands of cultivators. If it were in the past, such a stunning strike would have won the cheers of the entire hall. But now, countless Xiuzha ignored Jiangnan as though he was doing something as boring as chopping wood. All of them were still looking in the direction of the heavenly peak. Jiangnan suddenly felt bitter. Boom! With his emotions unstable, the fourth round of heavenly lightning struck down. Jiangnan was careless and was struck by a bolt of heavenly lightning. His hair was disheveled, and he was in an exceptionally sorry state. Jiangnan roared, venting the inexplicable grievance in his heart. Last time, before he could draw his sword, Yin Chuan dealt with him. This time, it was even more embarrassing. He went up to launch a sneak attack, but Yin Chuan's tribulation clouds looked down on him. Chapter 249. It wasn't just a matter of losing face. It was more of a matter of dignity. Their dignity was trampled on again. Last time, they were trampled on. This time, they were the ones who delivered themselves to others. On Xian Peak, Feng Xiao looked at Jiang Nan below with slight sympathy. On Heavenly Peak, Yin Chuan stared at the people undergoing the tribulation. It was the 7th round. The storm like lightning baptized the 3,000 soldiers again and again. Some of the soldiers were covered with injuries and fell to the ground as if they had no strength left. Stand up, Yin Chuan shouted. The soldiers who fell to the ground had no strength left. However, when they saw Yin Chuan's serious gaze, their hearts tightened. All of a sudden, their hearts tightened. Gritting their teeth, they slowly climbed to their feet. Even if I die, I will die standing. Damn it. The soldiers gathered their morale again. Rumble. The storm like lightning rained down again. Roar. The 3,000 soldiers roared in unison. They resisted the lightning with their bodies and tempered their bodies with the lightning. After another round of lightning baptism, many of the soldiers had no strength left. However, the others immediately helped them up. The army wasn't scattered. It was a cohesive team. They wouldn't abandon or give up. There's still one more round. No one is allowed to embarrass the king. Someone shouted. No one is allowed. Everyone supported each other and welcomed the last round of lightning. Roar! Boom! They roared in unison and received the last round of lightning. The entire valley was filled with dazzling lightning arcs. After the 3,000 soldiers withstood the last bolt of lightning, almost all of them fell down together. Rumble! The thunderclouds in the sky slowly dispersed. Ha ha! Ha ha! Although the soldiers who fell to the ground were fried on the outside and tender on the inside, they were still breathing. Although they didn't have much strength left, they were still laughing excitedly. The tribulation clouds on Heavenly Peak all dispersed. The first heavenly tribulation had ended. This wasn't just a tribulation. It was a grand visual feast. All the disciples of the Great River sect who were staring at the tribulation were excited. Similarly, the difference in Heavenly Peak had completely aroused everyone's interest. Rumble! Heavenly tribulation on Heavenly Peak continued. The second heavenly tribulation, the 29th heavenly tribulation. There were 18 rounds in total. Only half of them were down. Every round was filled with 9 bolts of lightning, which was equally spectacular. However, thinking back to the 10,000 lightning bolts just now, almost everyone who looked at the tribulation clouds in Jiangnan had a dull feeling. Jiangnan was provoked, and the impact on his heart was enormous. His former demeanor was swept to the ground, and he was even surrounded by danger for a moment. Watching Jiangnan go through the tribulation made everyone feel sorrowful. After looking at it for a while, no one paid attention to it anymore. Rumble, slash. A man in Jiangnan shouted in embarrassment. On the heavenly peak, Zhu Jiansheng and the rest also looked in the direction of the black peak. It's Jiangnan, but Zhu Jiansheng said with a complicated expression. Hua Guang said bluntly, he asked for it. Yesterday, the king told him not to go through the tribulation, but he insisted on showing off. Now he's reaping what he sowed. Zhu Jiansheng and the others smiled bitterly. Yin Chuan smiled faintly and ignored him. Hua Guang, Yin Chuan shouted. Here, stay here and take care of everyone. This tribulation was very successful. With the help of morale and merit, everyone broke through. Very good. Before I come back, I will reward everyone, Yin Chuan said with a smile. Yes, I'm going to see Feng Tairan. Wait for me. Chapter 250. Yes. Before long, in front of the great river hall, Yin Chuan and Feng Tairan stood in front of the railing, holding onto the white jade railing as they looked in the direction of the black peak. Boom! Boom! In the end, Jiangnan managed to block the 9 bolts of heavenly lightning. However, at this moment, Jiangnan's clothes were torn and his body was scorched red. After the last bolt of heavenly thunder passed out, he fell to the ground and lost consciousness. Eldest senior brother, no martial uncle. The 2 protectors rushed over anxiously. In front of the great river hall, Feng Tairan revealed a bitter smile. That child Jiangnan shouldn't have suffered this. Is that so? Yin Chuan smiled faintly. Of course, although Jiangnan's breakthrough is very fast, I can see that his foundation is very solid. If it weren't for you this time, he wouldn't even be injured after crossing the tribulation. Feng Tairan smiled bitterly. It's not a bad thing to be competitive. If he couldn't see the situation clearly, it would be fatal. He hasn't traveled the world yet, so it's better for him to suffer in his own home than to be taught by outsiders, Yin Chuan said with a smile. Feng Tairan looked at Yin Chuan strangely. Are you really only 18 years old? What do you think? Yin Chuan laughed. You are a monster. Feng Tairan shook his head and laughed. Maybe, after being confused for so many years, it's time to wake up, Yin Chuan said with a smile. Your clarity of mind is beyond my expectations. Feng Tairan smiled bitterly. Isn't that good? Yin Chuan laughed. All right. Feng Tairan nodded. Then, Feng Tairan's expression gradually became serious. I've already sent the others away. Now, let's talk about your father, Feng Tairan said solemnly. Well, I'm listening. Yin Chuan's face also became serious. The Earth Peak's Peak Lord, Imo Wu Hui, have you met him? Feng Tairan asked. Of course I remember. It seems that he doesn't like me very much. Yin Chuan smiled. Sigh. Speaking of which, don't blame her. She won't harm you. Feng Tairan smiled bitterly. Oh, back then, if it weren't for your mother's appearance, Wu Hui would have become your father's wife. It was only after your mother's appearance that everything changed, and all these years, she hasn't been able to let go. Feng Tairan explained. Yin Chuan's face turned solemn. The grudge he had against Mo Wu Hui was instantly dispelled. I watched Yin Tao grow up. When I passed on the position to him, I could see that he would definitely be the hope of the Day sect in the future. Unfortunately, life makes fools of people. Feng Tairan felt a wave of regret. Yes, Yin Chuan was also silent for a while. Back then, the 100 sects came with great momentum. The other party's background was too great. At that time, in front of me, in front of the heads of the 100 sects, in front of that big shot, in front of the entire Day sect, he drew his sword and cut his own throat. Huh? Feng Tairan's eyes were moist. My father was forced to commit suicide in front of everyone. A cold light flashed in Yin Chuan's eyes. Feng Tairan looked up to the sky and let out a long sigh. Your father was a sentimental person. At that time, your mother was seriously injured and died. Your father also wanted to die. In order to protect the Day sect, he committed suicide with your mother. Feng Tairan said sorrowfully. Where's my father buried? Yin Chuan said in a cold tone. Buried? Oh, that big shot felt that it was not enough to vent his anger. In the end, he reached out and smashed your parents' bodies into powder. There were no bones left. We could only erect a cenotaph. Feng Tairan said sadly. Bastard. Boom. In his anger, Yin Chuan smashed the railing he was holding on to. I'll take you there. Come with me. Feng Tairan said bitterly. Chapter 251. They Sect. Halfway up a small mountain not far from the heavenly peak. Halfway up the mountain, there was an ordinary grave. There was no tombstone, and it was just sitting there alone. If one didn't clean it often, one would easily mistake it for a small mound. In front of the grave, there was some wine, fruits, and a bouquet of fresh flowers. Not far away, there was a stone table and stone stool. Feng Tairan and Yin Chuan stood in front of the small grave in silence. Many people don't know about this small grave. For the sake of Day Sect, I don't dare to let too many people know about it. I'm worried that the big shot's anger hasn't subsided. This is your parents' grave. Wu Hui has been cleaning it. Feng Tairan smiled bitterly. Peak Master Mo Wu Hui? Yin Chuan frowned. Yes, she can't let it go. I often see her coming at night and sitting on this stone stool for the whole night. Feng Tairan said bitterly. I understand. Yin Chuan nodded. Let's sit down and talk. Tower also left you something. Feng Tairan said. The two sat on the stone stool. Feng Tairan flipped his hand and took out a jade box. The jade box was covered with blood-red seals. Streams of light flashed across it, making it look extremely mysterious. Blood essence seal? Yin Chuan asked doubtfully. Yes, your father gave this to me before he killed himself. He said that only your blood can open the seal. You've heard of this seal? Feng Tairan was surprised. Yes, indeed. The person who set up this seal and the person who unsealed it must have the same bloodline. At the same time, the person who set up the seal must have dyed the seal with my blood. This seal was indeed left behind by my father. Yin Chuan nodded. Tao, or said that he wrote everything down and put it in this box. You'll understand when you see it. Feng Tairan said. All right. Yin Chuan nodded. Dong. At the main peak, the sound of a bell suddenly rang out. Feng Tairan looked in the direction of the main peak in surprise. What is it? The bell will only ring when something big happens in the sect. I'll go take a look. Feng Tairan stood up. Yin Chuan nodded. Whoosh. In the blink of an eye, Feng Tairan shot into the distance. Yin Chuan ignored him and looked at the grave mound. He frowned and looked at the jade box. He forced out a drop of blood essence and dripped it into the seal. Chi! The blood-red restriction melted like snow and soon disappeared. Taking a deep breath, Yin Chuan gently opened the jade box. There were a total of 4 items in the jade box. There was a letter, a map, a small purple token, and a yellow wooden stake that was as thick as an arm and covered in runes. Yin Chuan took out the letter first. For my son opening the envelope, Yin Chuan took out the letter and began to read it. Son, when you see this letter, your father will definitely go to see your mother. Your mother and I are very regretful that we didn't get to see you grow up. Your mother was thinking about you even when she was about to die. Alas, now hundreds of sects have forced us to leave you these last words and tell you everything. Your father is called Yin Tao. Your mother is called Kong Susu, the daughter of the Western Kong family. Do you see the purple token in the box? Your mother asked me to leave it for you. It's called Ask Heaven Token. It's useless to tell you too much now. In the future, if you can become stronger, you should be able to find out when you go to the West. However, your mother and the Kong family have a bad relationship. Very bad. You should not trust the Kong family too much. Chapter 252. Seeing this, Yin Chuan took out the purple token from the jade box. The token was octagonal, with the words Ask and Heaven written on it. The material was very special. Even with Yin Chuan's experience, he could not tell what it was. The Ask Heaven token was simple and did not have the slightest ripple of mana. But in Yin Chuan's eyes, it was extraordinary. Yin Tao Kong Susu? Yin Chuan looked at the small grave not far away and sighed. Then, he continued to look at the envelope. Son, Let me tell you a secret of the Yin clan. You should have heard of Blood Demon Yin Tao. Hair like blood, nature like a demon. I don't know when you will be able to reach my level. But, in theory, everyone in the Yin clan has this chance. It's just that some people can trigger it, while others can't. This is a supernatural power that only belongs to the Yin clan. Do you know about supernatural powers? Our ancestor was a powerful immortal. This is a supernatural power created by the immortal. After the bloodline was passed down, some of the descendants of the immortal will inherit this supernatural power. The entire Yin clan is passed down by word of mouth. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough time and could only leave a letter to tell you. I didn't bring any clan members into the cultivation world because I was worried that if it was exposed, it would lead to a disaster. I only prepared to bring some geniuses into the cultivation world. Unfortunately, I didn't meet any geniuses in these years. Of course, my son is definitely a genius. I saw Yin Qiuyu's son last time, and he seemed to have a natural sword bone. At that time, I knew that I was going to die, so I didn't bring him into the cultivation world. If you have the chance in the future, you can guide him to cultivate. Our bloodline supernatural power is called supernatural power. Although I don't know what our ancestor was thinking, I still like this name. Super, it means to surpass those of the same level. Once the supernatural power is activated, within a day, one's strength will skyrocket to the point where it can surpass those of the same level. At that time, you will be very excited, extremely bloodthirsty. But don't worry, your rationality will still be there. It's just that you will be more excited. It's like quickly raising your cultivation level by one level. The power realm can be raised to the essence realm in a day. As for the level of the profound realm, it would depend on one's luck. I'm a chi refiner. During the Heavens Gift Conference, I defeated many emptiness realm experts. According to our ancestors, there are 3 different states of super mystiques. What I experienced just now was only the first state. I haven't experienced the second or third state yet. But don't worry, these states usually only last for a day. They won't affect you. After a day, he would have to wait at least a month before he could activate it again. Make good use of it. Holding the envelope, Yin Chuan narrowed his eyes. Immortal bloodline? Super divine ability? His strength instantly skyrocketed by an entire realm? A realm. This divine ability is indeed powerful. Yin Chuan exclaimed in shock. Father, you've done well. Once this ability is known by some sinister people, our Yin clan will never have a day of peace. Yin Chuan took a deep breath. After a moment of silence, he turned his attention back to the envelope. Over the past few hundred years, I have some savings. But this time, your mother and I were forced into a corner and implicated too many people. I have given many things to my old friends as compensation. I hope you don't blame us. Chapter 253. Of course, I didn't plan to leave too much for you. My son, Yin Tao, must rely on his own hands to create a world. It's not good to leave too much for you. Work hard and take revenge for us in the future. Remember, the person who killed your mother and I was a strong man in the West. He's called Emperor Immortal. He's very famous in the West. You'll definitely know him in the future. It's only right for a son to take revenge for a father. However, son, you have to do everything within your means. Before taking revenge, you must protect yourself. Your mother and I will protect you. Seeing this, Yin Chuan smiled slightly. It's only right for a son to take revenge for a father. Don't worry, one day, I will use his head to pay tribute to you. Emperor Immortal? He actually calls himself Emperor? Yin Chuan thought for a moment. Of course, I can't leave nothing for you. Do you see the map in the box? That's a huge mine I found. If you don't have the ability, you can slowly continue the Yin clan's bloodline with this mine. It's enough to eat for tens of thousands of years. If you can make a career out of it, you can take out this mine and use it yourself. However, you have to reach the divine realm before you can take it. Right now, you don't have the ability to protect it. After reaching the divine realm, go and take a look at this huge mine that I left for you. Haha, mine? Yin Chuan looked at the map in the box. The map was very detailed. Although he didn't know where it was, as long as he was nearby, he should be able to find it. Okay, I'll look for it when I reach the divine realm. Yin Chuan smiled slightly and didn't care about the mine. There's also a wooden stake in the box. Do you see it? That thing isn't mine and I don't know how to use it, but it's definitely a treasure. This was left behind by an old man from the Archaic Mysteries sect before he died. You may not know about the Archaic Mysteries sect, but it's best not to provoke them. They're a sect that cultivates luck, the most mysterious place in the world. They rarely wander around. But I was lucky to meet this old man. I asked him to help me calculate your NZZs. The old man said that your soulless disease will definitely recover one day. It's just that he doesn't know when. Then, he helped to calculate ZZs. In the end, he had calculated his own death. He didn't know if it was true or not. Before he died, he said that he had caused a great disaster by divining ZZ. He had gone against heaven's will and was punished by heaven, so he had to die. He didn't know if it was true or not. Old man? Looks like he's a fate usurper who cultivates fate. He divined purple and suffered a backlash from the heavens? Yin Chuan said in astonishment. He continued reading. The old man said that ZZ's life providence was Tao God's wife. In other words, from the moment she was born, she was destined to be the wife of a Tao God. I asked the old man, who is the Tao God? The old man said that the Tao God was the heavens. ZZ was born to be God's wife. If it weren't for the fact that he kept vomiting blood, he would have kicked him. The vast heavens did not have any consciousness. So how could it marry a wife? Was the old man crazy? The old man told me that it wasn't a curse on ZZ, but a heavenly curse. The heavenly curse had been with ZZ as she grew up. She was the wife of a Tao God, and she couldn't be blasphemed. Heaven wouldn't allow it. No one could. So under the heavenly curse, no one could get close. Regardless of whether they were good to her or bad to her, they would have endless bad luck. The heavenly curse would eliminate anyone who dared to touch ZZ. I'm only telling you the old man's words. Judge for yourself. After the old man finished divining ZZ, he left a few words and died. He left behind the wooden stake that he had divined. You can do as you see fit. Finally, son, if your mother and I are in heaven, we will definitely bless you. Chapter 254. Finally, son, if your mother and I are in heaven, we will definitely bless you. After reading the last sentence, Yin Chuan fell into a deep silence. Although the whole thing was about stories, one could feel a deep sense of father-son love between the lines. Yin Chuan folded the letter and gently placed it in his bosom. He remained silent for a long time. He looked at the remaining 3 items in the box: the map, the heaven-seeking token, and the yellow wooden stake. He gently closed the jade box. Standing up, Yin Chuan looked around. The Jade Emperor's sword in his hand slashed at a huge rock. Clang, clang, clang. After a series of slashes, a large tombstone was carved out. Boom! The tombstone was inserted in front of the small grave. Clang, clang. The Jade Emperor's sword carved on the tombstone. The tomb of my late father Yin Tao and Mother Kong Susu. Erected by Yin Chuan. A tombstone was carved in an instant. Looking at the tombstone, Yin Chuan took a deep breath and said, "In this life, you are my parents. This is fate. Yin Chuan will not let you down." After that, Yin Chuan bowed deeply to the grave for a while. Then, he carried the jade box and walked towards Heaven Peak. Not long after Yin Chuan left, a white figure landed in front of the grave. It was the Earth Peak's peak master, Mo Wu Hui. Looking at the new tombstone, Mo Wu Hui's eyes unconsciously shed 2 lines of tears. "Senior, all these years, no one dared to erect a tombstone for you, because as soon as someone suggested it, many people would oppose it. They were too afraid. Your son erected it without anyone's consent. Ha! I see that your son will not disgrace you." Mo Wu Hui touched the tombstone and said sadly, "Big Sister Kong already agreed to it back then. Why didn't senior brother accept me? Before she died, she asked me to take good care of you. Why didn't you give me a chance? I know that you want to protect my life. But without you, what's the point of me living?" Mo Wu Hui bit his lips and said sadly, "Senior brother, although you can't accept me, you can't stop me from liking you. When you died that day, my heart had already died. I promised Elder Sister Khan that I would take good care of you, but you didn't give me a chance. I've thought about it. I'll help your son become the sect head. When he becomes the sect head, I'll come and see you. Mo Wu Hui said in a choked voice. Heaven Peak, King Yama's palace. When Yin Chuan returned, Feng Tairan also came to Heaven's Peak in the evening. Yin Chuan, I'm here to tell you that I'll be leaving the sect soon. I've already arranged everything for you to enjoy in the sect. Feng Tairan said. What happened? Yin Chuan asked doubtfully. Something did happen. Recently, a large number of demonic beasts escaped from the demonic Wind Mountain range. As a result, there are many demonic beasts around the Day sect. 2 first-generation disciples went to the demonic Wind Mountain range to investigate. In the end, one died and the other returned with injuries. Feng Tairan said with an ugly expression. You're going to the demonic Wind Mountain range? Yin Chuan frowned. That's right. Feng Tairan nodded. I don't care about your matters. Before I leave, I want to trouble you with something. Huh. Back then, there were 100 sects that forced my father to his death. Please write them down one by one for me. Yin Chuan said solemnly. 100 sects? You want it? Feng Tairan raised his eyebrows. Don't worry, I'll do what I can. Yin Chuan said. Chapter 255. Although a little reluctant, Feng Tairan nodded and said, Okay, you must be careful. Don't be reckless. I know. Taking out a pen and paper, Feng Tairan quickly wrote. Great Winged Heaven School, Life League, Misty Mountain. Feng Tairan quickly wrote down all the 100 sections. 100 sects? My father said that the one who forced them to death was Emperor Mo Ku, a big shot from the west. These are all from the west. Yin Chuan said in a deep voice. No, these are all sect from the east. In fact, the main one is the Great Winged Heaven School. The other sects are all vassals of the Great Winged Heaven School. Feng Tairan said. Oh, I don't know if you're aware of this, but other than the Heaven's Merit Pool, there's also the sect Conferment. The upper sect can confer titles to some middle sects, and the middle sect can confer titles to lower sects. The sects that have been conferred titles can receive the merit pool, but half of the accumulated merits must be contributed to the sect that conferred the title. Moreover, the upper sect has orders that the sects that have been conferred titles must obey unconditionally. I know that the heaven and earth merit pool obtained in this way does not belong to us. The upper sect can withdraw it at any time, and such vassals can only be vassals forever. The days of being a vassal are not good, Yin Chuan said in a deep voice. The Great Winged Heaven School is a middle sect. When the Great Winged Heaven School gave an order, nearly 100 sects all joined in. Back then, it was overwhelming. 100,000 cultivators surrounded the Day sect so tightly that even mosquitoes couldn't fly out. Feng Tairan smiled bitterly. Great Winged Heaven School? 100,000 cultivators from 100 sects? Yin Chuan's face was gloomy. The Great Winged Heaven School originally had no enmity with our Day sect. The one who ordered the 100 sects to surround and kill the Day sect was the current Shinkuin Kuroha. It seems that Emperor Mo Ku helped him win the position of sect master. Feng Tairan said in a deep voice. Shinkuin Kuroha? Yin Chuan nodded solemnly. I'm leaving soon. Take good care of yourself. Feng Tairan comforted. Don't worry. Yin Chuan nodded. After sending Feng Tairan off, Yin Chuan frowned and pondered for a while before bringing Lu Jin to the scripture pavilion on the main peak. With Feng Tairan's instructions, the guards of the scripture depository did not make things difficult for him. Peak Master Tian, there are nearly 1,000 cultivation techniques in the scripture depository. Have you thought a good cultivation technique? I'll get it for you. The guard said respectfully. I want all the sword techniques, spear techniques, and whip techniques. Also, all the cultivation techniques above the earth level. Yin Chuan said directly. The guard was at a loss. What's wrong? There are spear techniques, sword techniques, and whip techniques. However, our Day sect only has the human-level cultivation technique. The only earth-level cultivation technique can only be practiced by the sect master of each generation. Only the sect master has it. The guard was in a difficult position. Then forget about the cultivation technique. Give me the movement technique, Yin Chuan said. Yes. Soon, nearly 100 cultivation techniques were delivered to Yin Chuan. Yin Chuan nodded. He let Lu Jin carry them and turned to return to the heavenly peak. In the King of Hell's palace, Hua Guang looked at the booklets in front of him with slight excitement. In Immortal world, this was a cultivation technique that people would fight for. Hua Guang, here, take these 20 spear techniques back and practice them well. Among the 100 weapons, the spear is the hardest to practice. It's easy to learn, but hard to master. Some people practice only one spear for their entire life. If they learn too many things, they won't be able to master anything. Since you have chosen the spear, you will practice the spear for the rest of your life. As for other weapons, at most, you will have a shallow understanding, Yin Chuan said in a deep voice. Yes, Hua Guang replied. Also, only the cultivation techniques created by yourself are the strongest. Although these 20 spear techniques are powerful, they are suitable for the Creator. You, the First Legion, practice them well. Assimilate them and make them your own. Then, create something that belongs to you. Learn from the strengths of other schools and create your own path, Yin Chuan said in a deep voice. Thank you, my king, Hua Guang said respectfully. Hua Guang understood that the king was guiding him. Although they did not address each other as master and disciple, the king's guidance was more detailed. Lu Jin, I see that you like to play with a horsetail whisk. You can learn this whip technique with me, Yin Chuan said with a smile. The Lord also practices the whip? Lu Jin said in surprise. I'm also using it as a reference. Just like these sword techniques. Although they are ordinary, there will be benefits, Yin Chuan explained. Yes, Lu Jin nodded. By the way, my king, what do you mean by the earth-class cultivation techniques that you mentioned earlier? Lu Jin asked curiously. The techniques that we brought back are only techniques. There's another type of cultivation technique. The higher the grade of the cultivation technique, the faster the cultivation, the more solid it is, or the more outstanding it is in a certain aspect. For example, some ice-type and fire-type cultivation techniques are classified into different categories. The quality of these cultivation techniques is mainly divided into heaven-class, earth-class, and human-class cultivation techniques. Under the immortal cultivation techniques, heaven-class cultivation techniques are the strongest, and human-class cultivation techniques are the weakest, Yin Chuan explained. Oh, I understand. But our cultivation techniques are not even at the human-class level. Why? Lu Jin did not understand. Don't worry. I will help you find them, Yin Chuan said with a smile. Yes, the two answered. Cultivate these cultivation techniques well. The First Legion should also rest well. Thousands of demons have escaped from the demonic wind mountains. In a month, I will take you out of the sect to kill them, Yin Chuan said in a low voice. Yes, go. The two left the King of Hell's palace. They closed the door. Only Yin Chuan was left in the palace. Yin Chuan lifted his left sleeve. The seed-like birthmark on his wrist was exposed again. However, the birthmark was slightly different now. The seed had changed a little, as if it had grown. I have just reached the essence state. My essence is limited. How can I feed you? In a month, when the First Legion is mature, we will go out to kill demons and devour a large number of demons. Then, I will slowly refine the essence to feed you. Yin Chuan smiled. As he spoke, Yin Chuan's wrist trembled slightly. A green vine slowly emerged from the birthmark. The vine grew longer and longer. In the blink of an eye, it had grown to 20 feet. He held the vine firmly with his left hand and swung it slightly. The vine instantly wrapped around the Jade Emperor sword not far away. With a slight pull, the Jade Emperor sword flew to his right hand. In midair, the Jade Emperor sword seemed to be struggling and trembled slightly. Buzz! The tip of the vine was instantly shattered. The Jade Emperor sword also returned to Yin Chuan's right hand with the help of inertia. The remaining vine was unusually flexible. It was as if it was a part of Yin Chuan's body. Whoosh! The vine suddenly retracted into the birthmark on Yin Chuan's wrist. You're too weak. Right now, I can't use my whip techniques at all. Yin Chuan smiled slightly. But I believe in you, Poison Ivy. You will definitely be able to recover, Yin Chuan said with certainty. Chapter 256. A month later, north of Day Sect, Yin Chuan led the army across the mountains and stopped at the peak of a mountain. Huo Guang and Lu Jin stood behind him. Yin Chuan touched the small gray jade token on his neck and smiled. King, the queen asked the great swordsman to give you a safety talisman when she arrived at Carefree City. Is the safety talisman still useful after entering the cultivation world? Lu Jin smiled. This is not a safety talisman. Perhaps Zizi has never seen a real one. She just wanted to give me peace of mind. Yin Chuan smiled. No matter what, it is the queen's goodwill, even if it's just for peace of mind. Lu Jin smiled. No, this is not an accessory. This is called an Earth Escape Talisman. The great swordsman must have never seen it before, so he did not recognize it. Yin Chuan said, Earth Escape Talisman. That's right. This Earth Escape Talisman is extremely precious. Many times, it can save one's life. Even an Earth-grade cultivation technique might not be comparable to it. Yin Chuan said, Oh. Lu Jin nodded. King, where are we going? We saw some demonic beasts on the way. Why didn't you let us kill them? Huo Guang was puzzled. I'm bringing you to earn merit. Yin Chuan smiled. Merit? Huo Guang was surprised. King, how do we earn merit? Lu Jin asked curiously. It's not difficult, but it's not easy either. Oh, the purest form of gratitude is merit. Yin Chuan smiled. Gratitude? How? For example, let's say a bandit wants to kill 10 women and children. When the 10 women and children are at their most helpless, if you help them fight off the bandit or kill the bandit, will the 10 women and children be grateful to you? Yin Chuan asked. Probably. Yin Chuan explained. Once this feeling of gratitude is produced, it will turn into merit. When you have a merit pool to absorb merit, this merit will continuously flow into it. Merit is a sense of gratitude. That's simple? Huo Guang exclaimed in surprise. That's not right, my king. What if it's the gratitude of being cheated? For example, if there were no bandits in the first place, I could lie to the women and children, saying that bandits were about to kill them. They would panic, and I could lie to them that I had already defeated the bandits. These women and children would still be grateful to me. Could this gratitude be converted into merit? Lu Jin said after some thought. Ha ha, well said, but that doesn't count. Why? Merit and virtue actually have to be separated into two words. One is merit, and the other is virtue. To be more precise, the concept of gratefulness was the virtue. If one did not contribute enough merit to this virtue, how could it be formed? Whatever man does, the heavens are watching. Yin Chuan said with a smile. Yes, we understand. The two of them took a deep breath. All of you have experienced too little merit. As the peak master of Heavenly Peak, the merit I enjoy can double my cultivation speed. However, the merit sect master Feng Tyran enjoys can triple his cultivation speed. This is what it means to be in a lower sect. As one's grade increases, the effect of the merit that he enjoys will become stronger. Yin Chuan explained. Yes, we will work hard to accumulate merit. Huo Guang said excitedly. Let's go. The border of the Demon Wind Mountain Range is in front of us. It is a mortal kingdom. Now that thousands of demons have escaped, it will definitely become a gathering place for demons. Not only can we accumulate resources there, we can also earn merit, Yin Chuan said. Yes. Chapter 257. Half a day later, after crossing hundreds of rivers, Yin Chuan and the others stood on top of a hill. Everyone's eyes widened. In front of them was a city that looked like Yinjing. Most of the city walls had collapsed. Ah! Save me! Dad, save me! Screams of agony could be heard continuously. A large number of bat-like monsters were flying in the sky above the city. They kept grabbing mortals and taking them away, or they would eat them nearby. On the ground, there were also a large number of monsters. After breaking through the city walls, they kept biting the mortals. The scene was extremely bloody. It was like hell on earth. King Huaguang's expression changed. Monsters that are interested in mortals can't be too strong. They should be in the essence state. Go and kill them. Build up your achievements first. Then you'll get good karma. Yin Chuan said in a deep voice. Yes, Huaguang replied. First Legion, follow me and kill the enemies. Huaguang shouted. Yes. The 3,000 soldiers of the embroidered uniform army were like ferocious tigers descending the mountain. Under Huaguang's command, they charged straight towards the demonic beasts below. Fire! Huaguang shouted. Bang! Thousands of arrows rained down on the bat monsters in the distance. Wah wah wah! The bat monsters roared angrily. Kill! Kill! The army charged into the city in the blink of an eye. There were hundreds of monsters in the city and hundreds of bat monsters circling in the sky. However, the army was well trained. Wherever they went, they were invincible. It's the Immortals. We're saved. Help! Say my dad. My dad was taken by the bats. That's great. As if they had entered hell, infinite hope appeared in the eyes of the people. The Immortals were here. Once they killed the monsters, they would be saved. Everyone was grateful. At the peak of the mountain, Lu Jin accompanied Yin Chuan to watch the massacre in the city. Wang, the cultivation techniques of the Immortal sect are indeed extraordinary. Huaguang and the others' battle prowess has increased by at least 30%. Lu Jin said excitedly. Cultivation method? The best cultivation methods are all tempered in life and death. Yin Chuan said coolly. They quietly waited for the massacre in the city. 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours later. After the army killed nearly 600 demonic beasts, the remaining demonic beasts fled one after another. We're saved. Heavens, the demon is gone. The demon is gone. I'm saved. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. The survivors in the city were all overjoyed. After a moment of ecstasy, everyone fell silent again. The pain of losing a loved one welled up in his heart once again. Fellow Immortals, if it wasn't for you, all the citizens in our city would have died. May I ask where you are from? Yi City would like to erect a shrine for all of you to thank you forever. The mayor stepped forward. We are from the Day sect, the people of Tianfeng. My name is Huaguang. Huaguang said with a smile. Ignoring these mortals, he ordered his subordinates to carry the demonic beasts out of the city. When they left the city, all the citizens came out of the city to send them off. Many even kowtowed to express their gratitude. Waves of gratitude surged out of his heart. It was as if streaks of yellow light were rushing to everyone. The soldiers didn't notice anything, but Huaguang had the army destroyer will. He felt a warm current flowing into his heart. At the same time, in the Day sect, rumble. Merit kept churning in the merit pool. Chapter 258. Many disciples looked up at the sky. The merit pool has grown bigger. Why is there such a huge amount of merit? Who earned it? The heavenly peak. The extra merit came from the heavenly peak. Heavenly peak? The disciples of the Day sect were surprised. Yin Chuan had just returned, and he was already accumulating merit. Mo Wuhui, Gao Buffon, and Feng Tianyu frowned as they looked at the sky. Yin Chuan went out. He should be saving the mortals of the cold country in the north. Feng Tianyu guessed. Merit is boundless. However, now that thousands of demons are escaping, it's fine if they encounter low-level demons. If they encounter high-level demons, will they be in danger? Gao Buffon sighed. Before the sect leader left, he told us not to leave the sect. Moreover, we don't know where Yin Chuan went. We can't do anything about it. Mo Wuhui frowned. How about this? I will send my 7 disciples out to find Yin Chuan and protect Yin Chuan. Gao Buffon thought for a while and said, that would be the best. Feng Tianyu nodded. Mo Wuhui did not say anything. In a valley, Lu Jin and the rest served Yin Chuan. Yin Chuan ate the wolf meat and looked at the two of them. Huaguang, how do the soldiers feel? In 3 days, we have eaten nearly 500 demons. This is something we would never have dared to think about in the past. I asked you, what did you learn from the battle? Yin Chuan smiled. Oh, I misunderstood. Battle? The spear art that we learned a month ago is comprehended faster in battle, Hua Guang said with a serious face. Well, this is just the beginning. That was just one city. This mortal country is not just one city. This mortal country is called the Cold Country. We'll kill our way to their capital, Liangjing. We'll kill as many demonic beasts as there are, and we'll let you guys practice. Yin Chuan said. Yes, but in the last battle, 2 soldiers were accidentally bitten to death by the demon wolves. Hua Guang said regretfully. Accidentally? After this, they will know how to be careful. Without experiencing the tempering of countless life and death situations, how can they become lions of 100 battles? Yin Chuan said solemnly. Yes, Hua Guang said regretfully. I understand. When I was a soldier, I already had this awareness. It's just that those 2 soldiers were already in the essence realm. It's such a pity that they died at this moment. Looking at Hua Guang, Yin Chuan smiled faintly, shook his head, and said, Do you think practitioners don't have to die? Just like mortals, they are very weak because cultivators also face stronger opponents. When fighting, they must learn how to protect themselves. Yes, when we return to the Yin state, if half of the 3,000 soldiers are still alive, I'll be relieved. Yin Chuan sighed softly. Half. Hua Guang's expression changed. Go and have a meal with the soldiers. Yes, I will definitely protect the soldiers. Hua Guang said solemnly. Nodding, Yin Chuan ignored him and continued to eat the demonic beasts. Half of the demonic beast's essence was used to strengthen his body, and the other half was eaten by the poison ivy birthmark on his right wrist. 2 days later, the group arrived at the vicinity of another city. Save me. Kill. In the city, demonic beasts roamed freely. However, there were also close to 1,000 cultivators who were wielding their swords and killing the demonic beasts. Moreover, there was a cultivator who was carrying a huge flag. There were 3 big words written on the flag. Life League. King, these are cultivators from another sect, right? They are also accumulating merits? Hua Guang asked curiously. Life League? Yin Chuan narrowed his eyes. King, you know them? Hua Guang asked curiously. Back then, the Life League had a part to play in forcing my father to his death. Yin Chuan's eyes turned cold. Hua Guang and Lu Jin's expressions changed. King, don't worry. None of these 1,000 people will leave. Hua Guang immediately said in a deep voice. Chapter 259. Your Majesty, don't worry. None of these 1,000 people will leave. Hua Guang immediately said in a deep voice. Yes. Yin Chuan replied in a low voice. I'll go now. Hua Guang was about to summon the First Legion. Now? For what? Yin Chuan shook his head. Wait. Remember, stay calm at all times. These people are fighting with the beasts. Wait until they're done before you attack. Besides, we haven't found their leader yet. Yin Chuan said. Yes. Hua Guang replied. At the same time, on another mountain peak, there were 5 men in Taoist robes. The 5 of them carried long swords on their backs and looked down at the city below. Big brother, there are people over there. Suddenly, one of them said. Everyone turned around and saw Yin Chuan and his group from afar. 3,000? That many? Another man frowned. Who are these people? While everyone was worried, the leader sneered. Don't worry. Oh, I know these people. It's been more than a month. They're the bastards of the Day sect, Yin Tao. The leader sneered. Yin Chuan? That's right. They're just a bunch of people who came from the secular world. The leader said. It's our people who are killing the beasts in the city. Yin Chuan wouldn't want to take advantage of us, would he? He doesn't deserve it. The leader sneered. Big brother, what should we do? If he wants to defend, then let him. We'll wait for the Life League to earn some merit points. Then we'll take care of them. 3,000? We 5 Qi Jing warriors don't have to do anything. The leader said. Yes. At the same time, Yin Chuan turned to look at the 5 men. King, there are people over there. Hua Guang said. 5 Qi Jing warriors, don't worry. Yin Chuan said. Yes. Hua Guang nodded. The army waited patiently. Finally, after 4 hours, all the demonic beasts in the distance had been driven away. Nearly 100 of the nearly 1,000 cultivators had died. All of them dragged their fatigue and earned the gratitude of the citizens of the city, earning enough merit. Carrying the corpses of the demonic beasts, the group stepped out of the city. He met up with the other 5 Qi Jing warriors and walked towards Yin Chuan. Yin Chuan led the first legion and slowly walked into a huge canyon. He started to confront the people of the Life League. The 5 Qi Jing warriors sneered at Yin Chuan. "You are Yin Tao's vile spawn?" The leader sneered. "You know my father?" Yin Chuan said with a deep smile. "How could I not know him? Back then, when we encircled and annihilated your father, we saw him commit suicide with our own eyes." "What? Are you here to take revenge today?" The leader sneered. "You're right." Yin Chuan smiled. "Huh?" The 5 of them were slightly stunned. Fierce tiger army formation. Yin Chuan's face turned serious. "Yes." Boom, boom, boom. The 3,000 soldiers immediately stood in their former military formation. Blood qi gushed out, forming the phantom image of a fierce tiger once again. "Oh, an array?" The 5 Qi Jing warriors squinted their eyes. "All rivers flow into the sea. Gather your blood and qi into my body." Yin Chuan shouted. "Roar!" The 3,000 soldiers roared and waved their hands. A red qi of blood flowed through the fierce tiger army formation and into Yin Chuan's body. Boom, boom, boom. Yin Chuan's long hair fluttered in the wind. As the 3,000 qi of blood flowed into his body, a powerful qi of blood exploded around him. The qi of blood spread out and turned the surrounding soil upside down. "This is..." The leader of the Qi Jing warriors was shocked. Chapter 260. Gathering the strength of 3,000 people? You want me to reach the Qi state? So what if he is at the Qi Jing level? He is at most at the early stage of the Qi Jing level. That's right. His strength has increased to the Qi realm, and he doesn't have any combat experience. There's nothing to worry about. The 5 Qi Jing cultivators said disdainfully, but they all pulled out their swords. Yin Chuan's power suddenly increased. He borrowed the blood and qi from the 3,000 people and reached the early Qi Jing level. Stepping out, he was surrounded by a whirlwind. "Xing!" Yin Chuan pulled out the Jade Emperor Sword. "Huoguang, reorganize the troops and take a break. Wait for me to kill these 5 Qi Jing warriors. Don't leave a single one alive," Yin Chuan said in a deep voice. "Understood," Huoguang replied. He stomped on the ground. Boom! Yin Chuan drew his sword and shot out. A sword cultivator charged forward with a cold expression. Dang! 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 Chi! That practitioner was split in half by Yin Chuan's sword. "Old 5, someone on the other side exclaimed. "Impossible? How is that possible? 5 swords? He killed Old 5th with just 5 strikes?" The 4 Qi state cultivators' hair stood on end as they stared at Yin Chuan in shock. "What kind of sword technique is this?" the leader asked with an extremely ugly expression. "My, Yin Chuan's sword technique is the 24 moves of sword. Unfortunately, he was too weak. He was only able to reach the 5th move before he was cut down by me." Yin Chuan sneered. "Attack together," the leader said with an ugly expression. "Okay." The other 3 answered at the same time. The 4 of them immediately formed a sword formation and charged towards Yin Chuan. Yin Chuan's lips curled into a cold smile as he charged forward. Clink, 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 clink. As the 2 swords clashed, Yin Chuan's body turned into a blur of shadows. Sword chi shot out from his hands as he swung his sword, creating hundreds of sword shadows that blocked the attack of the 4 Qi state warriors. "Impossible! We 4 sword cultivators can't beat this little brat." Sun and moon sword formation. Roar! Strong winds blew in all directions, and dust rose in all directions. The smoke and dust was filled with the sword qi that burst out from the crowd. Huoguang and Lu Jin both looked worried. Qi, a streak of bloody light, soared into the sky. Large amounts of internal organs intestines, and blood sprayed out. They were colorful and extremely disgusting. Second brother. A cry of surprise came from within the dust. This is only sword 5. Die sword 6. Yin Chuan's cold shout came from within the dust. Chi. Another blood-red light soared into the sky, and an arm flew out of the smoke and dust. Third brother. You killed third brother. Seventh swordsman. Chi. A boss is dead. You killed boss. His voice was trembling. Trying to escape? Eighth sword. Following Yin Chuan's last shout, a large amount of severed limbs soared into the sky again. The sound and the dust shocked the disciples of the Life League. Before the dust settled, Yin Chuan slowly walked out with blood all over his body. The Jade Emperor's sword turned bright red again. Although Yin Chuan's body was covered in blood, it was not his own. When he walked out coldly, the Imperial Secret Army was shocked. 5 Qi Realm cultivators. Their king killed 5 Qi Realm cultivators? Huguang, I'll leave the rest to you, Yin Chuan said in a deep voice. Yes, brothers, the target is 200 feet away from the enemy. Leave no one alive. Kill, Huguang shouted. Roar. After 10,000 arrows were shot, the 3,000 soldiers quickly rushed forward. Their king's order was to leave no one alive. Therefore, they could not let them escape. As the army charged forward, the dust from the battlefield also dissipated. When the dust settled, there was a ground full of severed limbs and Qi Realm cultivators. Chapter 261. King, are you all right? Lu Jin immediately went up to him. Don't worry, I'll just wash them later. The ferocious tiger army formation won't be able to hold out for long. Those 5 Qi Jing cultivators were asking for it. Yin Chuan said with a smile. Kill. Avenge the old emperor. I'm invincible. 3,000 Jin army soldiers charged forward. The Life League disciples were already exhausted from killing the beasts earlier. How could they face the Jin army? Don't kill me. Help. After a series of screams, they were all killed by the Jin army. The ground was littered with corpses. Search them. Put the items with Lu Jin. Bury them later, Yin Chuan said. Yes. From the bodies of the cultivators, they found some herbs, fasting pills, and 3,000 low-grade spiritual stones. They were all placed in Lu Jin's spatial scroll. As for the weapons, other than the 5 long swords of the 5 Qi Jing experts, Yin Chuan didn't care about the rest. After burying the Life League disciples, they left quickly with the corpses of the beasts. They found a big lake and washed the blood off their bodies. Then, they started to eat again. Hundreds of beasts were eaten in a few days. The biggest benefit of a large supply of beasts was the continuous growth of their profound qi. The group headed towards the capital of the Liang Kingdom. A month later, they arrived at the outskirts of Liang Kingdom. Many of the soldiers had a lot of scars on their bodies. However, none of them complained. In the past month, everyone's combat power had increased by a lot. There were no signs of beasts attacking Liang Kingdom. However, there were cultivators flying in and out from time to time. Apparently, this place had become a temporary camp for cultivators. Let's rest for a while in the city. We'll continue after we recuperate, Yin Chuan said. Yes. Everyone nodded. Yin Chuan led the army towards the city. The genie army were carrying a lot of beast skins. They were obviously from the celestial sect. The guard at the city gate didn't dare to stop them. The army slowly entered the city. At this moment, there was a scholarly man holding a feather fan on the city gate tower. He revealed a look of surprise. The man was none other than Mr. Monroe. Yin Chuan? Mr. Monroe asked curiously. There were several people standing behind Mr. Monroe. What's wrong? Does Mr. Monroe know these people? Someone asked curiously. An acquaintance. Mr. Monroe nodded. The one with the sword on his back. But he's only at the 2nd level of the profound realm. A person beside him asked curiously. Does my acquaintance have to have a high cultivation level? Mr. Monroe laughed as he waved his feather fan. Oh, is there something special about that person? Shaking his head gently, Mr. Monroe took a deep breath and said, I shouldn't bother him, but the Holy Sun asked me to do something for him, so I'll do my best. Don't bother him. I'll go see him myself after he settles down. See someone at the profound realm? Mr. Monroe, is this person worthy of your effort? A person beside him asked curiously. His handwriting is better than mine. Do you think he's worthy? Mr. Monroe laughed. Impossible. Handwriting? He's only at the second level of the profound realm. How can his handwriting be compared to yours? Mr. Monroe smiled and didn't explain further. The few of them were astonished. Mr. Monroe, on the other hand, looked towards the city while waving his feather fan. Chapter 262. Liangjing. Yin Chuan led the army and slowly entered the city. Wherever they went, the people would make way for them. Even the cultivators who stayed behind looked at the 3,000 people in surprise. After all, the equipment of this group of people was too strange. It was almost the same. Such a unified group was rare in the major sections. Yin Chuan was about to send someone to inquire about the situation in the city when he suddenly saw a familiar face. Xiao, a figure instantly appeared in front of Yin Chuan. It was the three swordsmen of the Day sect. Wow, so many demonic beast hides. The three swordsmen looked at the beast hides carried by the soldiers in surprise. Xiao San, why are you here? Yin Chuan asked curiously. Xiao San? The three swordsmen's face fell. Only then did he remember that Yin Chuan was a senior. Uncle Master, actually we have been here for a few days. We have been waiting for you. The three swordsmen said helplessly. Oh, the seven of us and Juji and Sheng are here. Our master asked us to protect you and increase the sect's merit points. We guessed that it was you guys who did it, but we didn't know where you were. In the end, we decided to wait for you in Liangjing. Sure enough, you really came. The three swordsmen said proudly. Protect me? All right, thanks a lot. Yin Chuan smiled faintly. It's my duty. Let's go. We have already picked a good place. Liangjing's flat mountain building. The terrain there is very high, and you can overlook the entire city. The three swordsmen laughed. All right. Can you get rid of these beast hides? Yin Chuan asked. Leave it to me. A large number of cultivators have gathered in Liangjing this time. I know some people from Carefree City who collect all kinds of materials. The three swordsmen patted his chest and said, That would be great. Yin Chuan nodded. Under the guidance of the three swordsmen, the group walked to the west of Liangjing and arrived at a huge restaurant. Behind the restaurant was a big lake. The 3,000 soldiers washed themselves and rested for the time being. After Yin Chuan took a bath and changed his clothes, he was also led to the restaurant. The restaurant was very spacious, and the people living inside were all high officials and nobles. There were even some cultivators sitting inside. Yin Chuan and his group sat near a window. Lu Jin stood behind Yin Chuan. The seven swordsmen and Juji and Sheng were also sitting at the table. The dining tables were separated by screens. Yin Chuan sipped his tea and looked at the entire Liangjing outside the window. There was a group of palaces in the north and south of Liangjing, and all of them were incomparably majestic. Which side is the imperial palace? Yin Chuan asked curiously. Martial uncle, you don't know this, but Liang capital's terrain is extremely unique. Because it's close to the Demon Wind mountain range, many cultivators will stop here. Just like our flat mountain pavilion, it's actually specially built for cultivators. A temporary place to stay. The three swordsmen said immediately. Yin Chuan nodded. Because cultivators stop here, Liangjing is also quite prosperous. The one in the north is the Liang Kingdom's Imperial Palace, and the one in the south is called the Immortal Palace. It's a place for some important cultivators to stay. It was specially built by the Liang Kingdom's emperor to please the cultivators. It's as majestic as the Imperial Palace. The three swordsmen explained. Are all the dynasties in the world trying to please the sects? Yin Chuan frowned. Of course. Dynasties can't collect merits. Other than having a lot of mortals, what else can they do? The four swordsmen nodded. Yin Chuan nodded and said no more. However, he was getting more and more confused. Right, martial uncle, you might not know, but something big has happened in the Demon Wind mountain range. At this moment, a large number of disciples from various sects have gathered in Liangjing. They are all going to enter the Demon Wind Mountain range. The three swordsmen said with envy. Chapter 263. Oh, why? It's a heaven-level cultivation technique. The most powerful technique in the Day sect is only of the earth level. A heaven-level cultivation technique can even become the treasure of a middle-level sect. Many people have risked their lives to search for it. The three swordsmen said, heaven-level cultivation technique? Then why are there still so many people in Liangjing? Because the holy sun of the Dezhou, holy ground, is here. Many cultivators responded to the holy sun's summons. As long as you help the holy sun find the heaven-level cultivation technique, the holy sun will give you 10 earth-level cultivation techniques. Think about it. How can a heaven-level cultivation technique be so easy to get? However, as long as you follow the holy sun and find some information, you could get the earth-level cultivation technique. Who wouldn't want it? The three swordsmen said. All the cultivators in the city follow the orders of the holy sun? Yin Chuan said in a deep voice. The holy sun is amazing. The Guyu holy sun of the Dezhou holy ground is rumored to have become an emptiness realm expert 100 years ago. He has many powerful subordinates and countless talents. The three swordsmen explained. Oh right, the Guyu holy sun is now living in the Immortal Palace. Zhuji and Sheng said. While they were talking, the waiter of the hotel walked over. Sorry to disturb you. May I know which one of you is Yin Chuan? The waiter asked respectfully. What's the matter? Yin Chuan asked in confusion. Someone claims to be your friend and wants to see you. The waiter said respectfully. Oh, who is it? Yin Chuan was slightly confused. Prince Yin, long time no see. A bright voice sounded. Wen Ruo, dressed in white, walked out from behind the waiter with a feather fan in her hand. Mr. Monroe? Zhuji and Sheng and the others were surprised. Wen Ruo nodded at the crowd. Then, she turned to look at Yin Chuan. Oh, it's Mr. Monroe. Excuse me for not going out to meet you. Please come in. Yin Chuan stood up and greeted him. Wen Ruo nodded and walked over. Everyone, I would like to speak to Yin Chuan alone. Is it possible? Wen Ruo looked at Zhuji and Sheng and the others and said, No problem. I'll sit at the table next to you. Everyone said politely. At the same time, they all looked at Wen Ruo in surprise. They didn't expect him to come here. Yin Chuan frowned slightly, but didn't say anything. Have a seat, Yin Chuan said. Wen Ruo nodded and sat down. Lu Jin poured tea for them. It seems that Mr. Monroe didn't come here to catch up with me. Yin Chuan said with a smile as he sipped his tea. We're here to catch up, and we also have something to discuss. Wen Ruo said naturally. It's good to catch up. Mr. Monroe is still as handsome as ever. Yin Chuan said with a smile. Mr. Monroe smiled bitterly and said, Prince Yin, you're too kind. Last time, you were with the saint. This time, you're with the holy sun. Mr. Monroe seems to be very popular in the Dezhou, holy ground. Yin Chuan said with a smile. You're busy. Prince Yin, don't you want to know about the saint? Mr. Monroe said with a smile. Mo Yushi. How is she now? Yin Chuan asked with a serious face. It's a perfect battle. She has handed the Million Wonders demonic lotus to Mohina Dojin. Moreover, her cultivation is about to break through. When we came out, she was in seclusion. Qing Long and the others were guarding her. Mr. Monroe said, Breakthrough? Her cultivation is indeed fast. Yin Chuan nodded his head. Hee, it seems that I've underestimated you. Mr. Monroe said with a strange smile. Oh, Meng Rongrong is my sister. You made her very angry last time. Mr. Monroe said with a smile. Chapter 264. Your sister? So, you're the eldest son of the Jilu Academy? Yin Chuan was slightly surprised. Mr. Monroe smiled bitterly and shook his head. It's all in the past. Let's not talk about it. Okay. Yin Chuan nodded and stopped talking about it. I've seen your wisdom and knowledge in the feng shui formation. I'd like to ask for your help this time. Mr. Monroe said after some thought. Help? Guyu Holy Sun has brought a group of powerhouses from the Dajao Holy Ground and even recruited a large number of powerhouses from the surrounding sections. He's going to enter the Devilish Wind Mountains with a promise of great benefits. I'd like to invite you along, Mr. Monroe said directly. Promise of great benefits? Yin Chuan asked curiously. You should have heard that Guyu Holy Sun promised 10 Earth-level techniques for a Heaven-level technique. Mr. Monroe said. Yin Chuan took a sip of tea and smiled. Heaven-level techniques? Is that so? Why? You don't believe me? Mr. Monroe smiled. How do you expect me to believe you? Thousands of monsters are fleeing. Is this the sign of a heaven-level technique? This is the territory of the demonic beasts. Those demonic beasts are fleeing in all directions in fear. What do you think it is? Yin Chuan laughed. Mr. Monroe's face stiffened. Then he smiled bitterly. I knew I couldn't hide it from you. Something big must have happened in the Devilish Wind Mountains. I'm sure of it. It's extremely dangerous. So dangerous that some monsters don't dare to stay there. Tell me, why would I, an essence state cultivator, go to such a dangerous place with you? If there are benefits, I won't get them. If there's a disaster, I'll be the first to suffer. Am I right? Yin Chuan smiled. Mr. Monroe smiled bitterly and nodded. I was too rash. I should be the one thanking you. At the very least, you didn't let Guyu Holy Sun recruit me. Yin Chuan said with a smile. Mr. Monroe sighed and shook his head. Actually, even now, I don't know what's inside. Oh, Guyu Holy Sun still doesn't trust me. Mr. Monroe smiled bitterly. Yin Chuan looked at Mr. Monroe in surprise. Huh. Mr. Monroe laughed casually. He picked up his teacup and continued to drink his tea. Yin Chuan also picked up his teacup and drank his tea as he looked at the vast Liangjing. Yin Chuan's eyes suddenly narrowed. Two figures suddenly appeared on the roof of the largest palace in the Liangjing Imperial Palace. Of the two figures, one wore a green robe, had a prominent forehead bone, and stood with his hands behind his back. His face was pale green, and he was handsome and arrogant. Although he did not release any aura, his entire person gave people a feeling that he was one with heaven and earth. He stood proudly in the wind, and his eyes were full of loftiness. Yin Chuan had seen many people. Although he only saw his appearance, he could tell at a glance that this person was not an ordinary person. Since he woke up in this life, this person had the most powerful aura. Beside him was a yellow-haired man. The man sat cross-legged with a guqin on his knees. Yao Tianshang? Mr. Monroe's expression changed. Yao Tianshang? Who is he? Yin Chuan asked immediately. He's not a human. He's a demon. In the past, he wiped out a middle-level sect by himself. He's a powerful demon from the Northern Demon Tribe. He fought with Guyu Holy Sun a few times. Although they were evenly matched, Yao Tianshang's aura was getting stronger and stronger. Guyu Holy Sun was gradually unable to suppress him. Now he's here again. Something's going to happen. I'm going back. We'll meet again if fate wills it. Mr. Monroe's expression changed. He flew out of the flat mountain inn. Yao Tianshang? Yin Chuan looked curiously at the arrogant green-robed demon. Chapter 265. I will climb to the top and look down on all the other mountains. Yao Tianshang stood on top of the Forbidden City as he stared coldly in the direction of the Immortal Palace in the south. King Spider. Yao Tianshang smiled faintly. The yellow-haired man sitting cross-legged at the side immediately nodded and said, Yes, my lord. As he spoke, he gently placed his hands on the guqin, as if he was about to play it. Flat Mountain Inn. After Mr. Monroe left, Zhu Jiansheng and the others surrounded them again. 8 fingers. Zhu Jiansheng looked in surprise at the yellow-haired man playing the zither in the distance. He's a spider demon, Yin Chuan said in a deep voice. Spider demon? Great demon? A virtual realm, great demon? Zhu Jiansheng's expression immediately changed. The emptiness realm. That's right, it was the emptiness realm. However, Yin Chuan valued Yao Tianshang more. Judging from a spider demon's attitude, it seemed like it was completely subservient to Yao Tianshang. Wang Zhu stroked his guqin. He waved his hands outwards. The rapid sound of the zither immediately rang out. Clink, clink, clink. The sound of needles piercing suddenly resounded throughout the entire Liangjing. Ah, my ears. Ah, I can't hear you. Countless commoners suddenly rolled on the ground in pain. Suddenly, the roof of the Immortal Palace exploded. Hung. A large number of practitioners flew into the sky from all directions of the Celestial Palace. They all looked at the top of the Forbidden City in surprise. Who would have thought that someone would dare to provoke the Holy Sun? This is a sound technique? Zhu Jiansheng exclaimed in surprise. In the direction of the Celestial Palace, about 200 cultivators flew into the sky. They all pulled out their long swords, and their faces were gloomy. And at the top of the most majestic palace of the Immortal Palace, 10 people slowly walked up. 7 of them were sitting cross-legged with a guqin placed on their knees. There were 3 people in the center. The leader was dressed in a golden robe and wore a crane-shaped golden crown on his head. His eyes were cold, as if he was looking down on the world. The man's aura was equally powerful. The 2 people behind him were dressed in purple, as if they were his subordinates. Yao Tianshang, you still dare to come? The man with the golden crown said in a deep voice. At the top of the Forbidden City, Yao Tianshang's face flashed with arrogance as he said, "Why wouldn't I dare to come? Guyu, I'm here to give you merit this time." Merit? Guyu Holy Sun said coldly. Of course. Spider King, let's begin. Yao Tianshang said solemnly. Yes. King Spider King nodded with an evil smile. Cling, 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 cling. His hands quickly strummed the guqin. Suddenly, a large amount of guqin music radiated in all directions. The sound of the guqin were like overlapping white waves. They were faintly discernible in the void as they swept toward the Immortal Palace. Rumble. Layers of huge waves washed across the sky. Wherever the huge waves passed, Liangjing was hit by an unprecedented storm. Under the sound of the zither, countless buildings collapsed rapidly. Ah, my head hurts. My head hurts. Under the sound of the zither, it was as if they could not take it anymore. All of the commoners were rolling on the ground. 7 guqin attendants. Guyu Holy Sun said in a deep voice. Yes. The 7 guqin masters sitting at the side quickly strummed their guqin. Cling, cling, cling. Cling, cling, cling. The 7 of them played their guqin at the same time. In an instant, the sound of the 7 guqin masters formed tangible sound waves that crashed towards King Spider's guqin waves. Hong. Chapter 266. When the 2 guqin waves collided, there was a loud crash. Where the guqin waves intersected, a huge tornado was formed. The powerful impact swept across the entire Liang capital and spread in all directions. Boom! All the houses in Yin capital collapsed. Even the Flat Mountain restaurant that Yin Chuan was in was shaking, and many of the screens inside fell down. Many customers ran out of the restaurant in fear. 7 guqin servants, that's all you got. Ha! Let me teach you what a real guqin is. Wang Zhu said with an evil smile. Dong, 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 dong. As soon as the sound changed, Wang Zhu's guqin waves increased by more than 10 times. Wave after wave rushed out and suppressed the music of the 7 guqin servants. At the same time, rays of light appeared in Wang Zhu's guqin waves. Among the zither waves, long sabers that were abnormally bright suddenly appeared. There were about 1,000,000 sabers in total. The sabers immediately pointed towards the Divine Palace. Go, the waves are surging. Ha ha ha. Wang Zhu laughed. Boom. The millions of long sabers formed by the guqin waves suddenly turned into a huge storm of sabers and swept towards the opposite side. Wherever the storm of sabers passed, the sound was ear-piercing again. Countless people lost their sight. Ordinary people covered their heads and rolled on the ground. Even the cultivators who flew into the sky at the beginning vomited blood and fell to the ground. Ding, ding! The sound of guqin spread in all directions and covered the entire Liang capital. Ah! The painful cries of the embroidered uniform army came from a backyard where Yin Chuan was. The 3,000 embroidered uniform army also felt their ears explode. Ah, my ears are so piercing. The 3 swordsmen also exclaimed. I can't cover it. I can still hear it if I cover my ears. Zhu Jiansheng said with a pale face. Wang Wang. Lu Jin covered her ears in pain. It's useless. The sound of Guqin doesn't need to go through the ears. It can enter the brain. Yin Chuan said. King, the old slave is dying. Lu Jin fell to the ground in pain. Akala seal, heart seal. Yin Chuan shouted. Yes. Lu Jin painfully quickly formed the Akala seal. While forming the seal, Lu Jin chanted an incantation. Her whole body trembled, and bean-sized beads of sweat fell from her face. However, after forming the Akala seal, Lu Jin immediately felt better. At least, she wasn't in as much pain as before. Why, Your Majesty? Hua Guang led 3,000 members of the embroidered uniform army to the front of the flat mountain inn. Akala seal, heart seal. Yin Chuan ordered. Yes. Hua Guang and the 3,000 members of the embroidered uniform army quickly formed hand seals. Akala suppressed the demonic sound from entering their ears. Ah! Help! My ears! In Liangjing, not only the common people, but countless cultivators were also covering their ears in pain. Millions of Guqin blades swept across Yanjing and rushed towards the heavenly palace. The 7 Guqin attendants were all shocked. They played the Guqin even faster. Virum, under the Guqin music, the 7 of them formed a huge hemispherical shield in front of the heavenly palace. Rumble. The Guqin blades slashed on the hemispherical shield. A deafening sound of impact pierced the 9 heavens and suppressed everything. Chapter 267. The sound waves crashed into each other. The common people were dying. The Essence Realm cultivators were rolling on the ground in dissatisfaction, and the Qi Realm cultivators were clutching their heads in pain, trying to escape. But where could they go now? The ground was shaking. If they tried to escape, they would be hit by more sound waves, and the sky would be filled with cultivators who fell to the ground, vomiting blood. Puffed. The 7 zither attendants all vomited blood on their gyukins. They couldn't hold on any longer. Ha ha ha, I have stronger ones here. How can you call yourself the 7 zither attendants? Wang Zhu laughed arrogantly. At this moment, Mr. Monroe arrived at the heavenly palace. Mr. Monroe, play the Guqin. Guyu shouted. Guyu Holy Sun wasn't afraid of the Guqin, but it was a battle between their subordinates. Guyu Holy Sun had to keep an eye on Yao Tianshong, so he couldn't make a move. Holy Sun, I'm not good at gyukins. I'll try my best. Mr. Monroe smiled bitterly. As he spoke, Mr. Monroe took out a Guqin and sat down cross-legged. Dong, 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 dong. As Mr. Monroe played, the 7 zither attendants seemed to have been helped by the gods. They were at a disadvantage. As soon as when Ruo started to play her zither, waves of zither music rushed out and strengthened the protective shield. But they could only defend. Ah! Zhu Jiansheng and the others cried out in pain. Just like Hua Guang, use the Acalanthus seal. Yin Chuan instructed. Okay. The 7 swordsmen and Zhu Jiansheng quickly imitated Hua Guang and used the Acalanthus seal. Yin Chuan was able to resist all the demonic sounds because of his strong will as an emperor in his previous life. The ground around the flat mountain building was shaking, but the building was strangely becoming more and more stable. Yin Chuan looked around in surprise. The flat mountain building was surrounded by cultivators who were rolling on the ground. However, there was one exception. The screens inside the flat mountain building had all collapsed. Yin Chuan saw a black-robed man sitting peacefully by a window not far away. Azure clouds were embroidered on his black robes, making him look extremely mysterious. The man sat by the window with a glass of wine in his hand. As he drank, he admired the battle between the 2 sides. At the feet of the black-robed man, Yin Chuan saw a round wheel. The image of the 8 trigrams appeared around the wheel. The wheel seemed to have appeared out of thin air as it spun slowly. The entire flat mountain became more and more stable. Feng Shui Master? Yin Chuan's eyes lit up. stepping on the ground to form a wheel. This was no ordinary feng shui master. With Yin Chuan's keen eyes, he could tell at a glance that this person was calm and powerful. Taking a deep breath, Yin Chuan stepped forward. "I am Yin Chuan. May I know your name?" Yin Chuan asked solemnly. The black-robed man was completely wrapped in the black robes. His face could not be seen clearly, but he continued drinking his wine. "I am Yin Chuan. May I know your name?" Yin Chuan asked solemnly. At this moment, the black-robed man glanced at Yin Chuan. However, the brim of his hat was pitch black, like an abyss. Yin Chuan could not see his face clearly. "Essence Realm." The black-robed man's voice was slightly hoarse. "I am Yin Chuan. May I know your name?" Yin Chuan asked again with a smile. "This is the Spider King's 8 Sky Demon Notes. If you can last until the end, I will tell you," the black-robed man said with a hoarse voice. "Do you know the Spider King?" Yin Chuan asked curiously. "No, but I have seen him use this Guqin to kill an Emptiness Realm expert. The Spider King was originally a formidable person. I did not expect him to submit to Yao Tianshang," the black-robed man said in a deep voice. "Sir, may I sit down and have a drink?" Yin Chuan asked with a smile. "You can resist the demonic notes with your Essence Realm cultivation. You're quite something. Sit down," the black-robed man said calmly. Chapter 268. To be able to resist this demonic sound with your Essence Realm cultivation, you're quite something. Take a seat," the black-robed man said calmly. Yin Chuan swayed the corner of his robe and slowly sat down. Looking at the black-robed man, Yin Chuan smiled. Yin Chuan's purpose in entering the cultivation world this time was to recruit all kinds of talents. Although the feng shui master in front of him did nothing or said anything, Yin Chuan could see that he was extraordinary at a glance. Yin Chuan was thirsty for talents, so he treated them with respect. However, from the black-robed man's words, Yin Chuan could feel a sense of rejection. "Do you want to recruit now? What an idiotic dream." He was just a practitioner at the bottom of the refined state. How could he make the powerful feng shui master work for him? Moreover, it was a path that no one had taken before. Since he couldn't summon them, what was the point of talking about grand ambitions? What a joke. To Yin Chuan, an unequal conversation had no value at all. It would be better if he did not say anything. However, Yin Chuan still sat down. It was for no other reason than to express his attitude and establish good karma. In the future, he would slowly display his strength and convince this expert. Picking up another glass of wine, Yin Chuan drank while watching the battle outside. The black-robed man was surprised. Yin Chuan had introduced himself 3 times in a row just now in order to get close to him. Now, he had just sat down and he had stopped talking. The black-robed man looked at Yin Chuan strangely, but his attention was quickly drawn to the battle outside. At the top of the Forbidden City, Spider King's zither continued to play, as if he couldn't hear the wails of the city. He looked into the distance and played the zither continuously, faster and faster. The Guqin attacks were getting stronger and stronger. Yao Tianshang stood beside King Spider as a cold smile appeared on his face. "Guyu, this is a gift of merit for you. The lives of all the people in the city will depend on your ability." Yao Tianshang laughed coldly. "In the east, my Dazhao holy ground is the sky." "Yao Tianshang, do you really want to leave your life in the east?" Guyu Holy Sun said in a low voice. Stay. The world is so big. Who can stop me? The Demon Wind Mountain range belongs to us demons. Remember to tell the Tao Lords of the Dazhao sacred ground that the wrath of the demons will result in corpses for thousands of miles. This city is the example of the Dazhao sacred ground. Yao Tianshang said coldly. "Role model? Oof." Guyu Holy Sun snorted coldly. "King Spider," Yao Tianshang said solemnly. "Yes," King Spider replied. King Spider suddenly turned the zither in his hand. Boom, 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 boom. The sound of the zither was dull, as if one could vaguely hear the sound of war drums. Roar, roar, roar. Countless phantoms suddenly appeared in the area covered by Wong Spider's Guqin music. At first, there were only sabers, but now Each saber had a master. One by one, the armored skeletons opened their mouths and roared angrily. Each one of them held a large saber and charged toward the opposite Immortal Palace. Roar! The 1,000,000 skeletons grabbed their large sabers and roared as they swept out. The entire world was filled with the sound of death. It swept towards the opposite Immortal Palace. Boom! Boom! Like a surging river, it rushed toward the barrier. Buzz! The sound barrier created by Mr. Monroe and the 7 zither attendants shook as if it would shatter at any moment. Aha! King Spider continued to play excitedly, faster and faster, more and more ferocious. Bam! 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 Under the powerful sound wave, a large number of people in Liangjing exploded. His sound technique became stronger and stronger. Chapter 269. Countless cultivators in the city cried out in pain. Even the Qi realm cultivators were rolling on the ground in pain. The pain was getting worse. The embroidered uniform army members sitting cross-legged in the flat mountain building couldn't bear the pain, even though they were holding the Acolanthus seal. Their faces were contorted in pain, and they were covered in sweat. One of them even foamed at the mouth. The embroidered uniform army members were swaying. They couldn't hold on any longer. Whoosh! Yin Chuan suddenly stood up. It wasn't easy for him to bring the embroidered uniform army out. How could he let them die here? Ferocious tiger army formation. Yin Chuan shouted. The embroidered uniform army members who were in pain heard Yin Chuan's words and immediately became spirited. They formed hand seals and stood up with difficulty. They stood out of the formation with difficulty. Puff! Puff! A dozen embroidered uniform army members spat out blood. They were injured by the sound technique. Yin Chuan stepped in front of the fierce tiger army formation. Bang! A large amount of blood and qi gushed out from the embroidered uniform army members and formed a huge tiger with the help of the formation. Yin Chuan's blood and qi condensed into the tiger's eyes. Wind follows the tiger. Roar to the sky. Yin Chuan shouted. Roar! Yin Chuan and the 3,000 embroidered uniform army members roared at the sky at the same time. The blood-red tiger, formed by the formation, also stomped on the ground and roared at the top of the Forbidden City. Roar! Roar! The tiger's roar pierced the 9 heavens. Moreover, the tiger's roar was very long. The more it roared, the louder it became. It wasn't as moving as the sound of the zither. It was just a barbaric roar that seemed to want to tear the sky apart. The huge roar formed a sound wave that rushed towards the top of the Forbidden City. The tiger's roar was like a sharp sword that tore through the zither waves and rushed towards the unprepared Spider King. King Spider looked at the sound technique that appeared out of nowhere in surprise. This sound technique was not powerful. In the past, King Spider would not even care about it. But now, King Spider's sound technique was almost all concentrated on the front line, in the direction of the Immortal Palace. Millions of skeletal soldiers were like a long river breaking the dam on the opposite side. This sound technique that suddenly came from the side caught the King Spider off guard. You're courting death. The King Spider glared. His fingers moved slightly. A Guqin wave came and collided with the tiger's roar. Honk! Guqin waves and sound techniques collided, creating a huge storm. A strong rebounding force was emitted, and the blood qi tiger exploded with a loud bang. The 3,000 soldiers were also sent flying by the shockwave, crashing into the flat mountain inn with a loud bang. Poof! 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 The members of the embroidered uniform army all spat out blood, heavily injured and dispirited. Ding! A crisp sound came from the top of the Forbidden City. Rumble! The vast demon skeleton army exploded with a loud boom. Under the huge explosion, the Guqin wave barrier in the distance also exploded. Poof! Poof! The 7 zither attendants were sent flying while spitting out blood. Mr. Monroe barely blocked the impact. Although he didn't spit out blood, his insides were churning from the impact. His face turned red, and he looked at the top of the Forbidden City in surprise. Chapter 270. On the summit of the Forbidden City, Spider King stood up with an unsightly expression. Spider King was not injured at all. The only difference was the guqin in his hand. One of the strings of guqin had snapped during the tiger roar. As soon as the zither string was broken, the great sound disaster was completely over. When the music stopped, the surroundings suddenly became quiet. At the same time, almost everyone turned to look at the flat mountain inn. The flat mountain inn was in a mess. Countless cultivators were still rolling on the ground in pain. Even the 3,000 members of the embroidered uniform army were severely injured. Only Huoguang was in a better condition. He endured his injuries and walked to stand behind Yin Chuan. Yin Chuan stood in front of the flat mountain inn and stared coldly at the summit of the Forbidden City. At this moment, everyone was looking at Yin Chuan. Yao Tianshang was no exception. The two of them looked at each other. Yao Tianshang squinted his eyes. Yao Tianshang was also a powerful person. He saw a domineering aura in Yin Chuan's eyes. A powerful domineering aura. A domineering aura that he had never seen before? An essence realm cultivator? How could he bear such a domineering gaze? Yin Chuan squinted his eyes as well. Arrogance. Absolute arrogance. Yin Chuan had never seen such arrogance in Yao Tianshang's eyes. Even in his previous life, Yin Chuan had never seen such an arrogant gaze. Yin Chuan's evaluation of Yao Tianshang rose again. As the two of them looked at each other, a voice suddenly rang out. Yao Tianshang, your guqin waves are broken. Don't you remember what I said? Guyu's cold voice rang out. This time, Yao Tianshang shifted his gaze to Guyu Holy Sun, who was far away. Yao Tianshang sneered and did not answer Guyu Holy Sun. Spider King, let's go. Yao Tianshang said indifferently. Yes. Spider King nodded. Before leaving, Yao Tianshang glanced at Yin Chuan again. He frowned and pondered for a while. Then, he shot toward the northwest wind demon mountain. Yao Tianshang and Spider King, the two emptiness realm experts, disappeared before everyone's eyes. The once prosperous Liang Jing had now become a pile of ruins. There were countless casualties. Even if they were still alive, they were still in pain and wouldn't be able to recover in a short time. Yao Tianshang and King Spider left. On the other side, Guyu Holy Sun also stared at Yin Chuan. As he took a step forward, his figure flashed and appeared in front of Yin Chuan. Following Guyu Holy Sun were two purple-robed men. The purple-robed men were expressionless, as if they were Guyu Holy Sun's lackeys. With the arrival of Guyu Holy Sun, more and more experts flew over from behind. Yin Chuan glanced at the flat mountain inn. At that moment, the black-robed man in the flat mountain inn had disappeared. Yin Chuan frowned and sighed in his heart. He turned to look at the ancient moon Holy Sun who was flying over. Guyu Holy Sun was also looking around. Looking at the group of people lying on the ground in pain, a trace of confusion appeared on his face. Swoosh! Mr. Monroe came closer. Holy Sun, this is Yin Chuan, the son of Yin Tao. Mr. Monroe introduced. Yin Tao's son? How like father, like son. Guyu Holy Sun looked at Yin Chuan with a scrutinizing expression. Guyu Holy Sun, you flatter me. Yin Chuan smiled faintly. Flatter? You helped me, the Holy Sun, defeat the two demons just now. Who else could have done that? I have to thank you for this defeat. Guyu Holy Sun smiled faintly. Oh, thank you, Guyu Holy Sun. My subordinates were all injured by Qin Lang. Guyu Holy Sun is the Holy Sun of the Dazhao Holy Land. You must have good medicine to treat them. If you want to thank me, just heal my subordinates. Yin Chuan smiled faintly. The surrounding practitioners were puzzled. No one expected Yin Chuan to really ask for something. You're too direct. Can't you be more polite? The Holy Sun's reward was much better than this. Only Mr. Monroe's eyes flashed with a hint of appreciation. Yin Chuan did this to draw a clear line between him and Guyu Holy Sun. If you want to thank me, I'll ask for something by name. He was very direct. He turned the help just now into a business deal. In this way, Guyu Holy Sun would not be able to get close to him. Chapter 271. Feng Yinyang Guyu Holy Sun looked at Yin Chuan in surprise. That's easy. I have a bottle of divine dew rain. It can help them recover immediately. Guyu Holy Sun smiled. As he spoke, he took out a small bottle and gently poured it out. Under Guyu Holy Sun's control, the divine dew rain floated in the air. Guyu Holy Sun waved his hand gently. Bang! The divine dew rain was instantly dispersed and rushed into the bodies of the people who were rolling on the ground. Instantly, everyone's pain was alleviated. Tell everyone to sit down and meditate, Yin Chuan said to Huoguang. Yes. Huoguang quickly went forward and ordered the embroidered uniform army to sit down and meditate. Holy Sun, you're swift and decisive. Yin Chuan is impressed. Yin Chuan said with a smile. I've heard about you. Guyu Holy Sun smiled at Yin Chuan. Oh, they say you're very smart. My palace, Guyu needs talents like you. Mr. Monroe should have told you about our trip to the Demon Wind Mountains, right? Guyu Holy Sun said with a smile. Mr. Monroe raised his eyebrows and immediately turned to look at a man in a Taoist robe. His eyes were spitting fire. Yin Chuan roughly understood the situation when he saw Mr. Monroe's expression. Following Mr. Monroe's gaze, Yin Chuan also looked at the man. He was a rugged man with narrow eyes that glowed from time to time. When he looked at Yin Chuan, there was a hint of coldness in his eyes. Who is this? Yin Chuan asked curiously. Guyu Holy Sun looked at Yin Chuan in surprise. Yin Chuan actually found the person who reported to him in an instant. This is the leader of the Life League. He's my friend, Immortal Wei Qian, Guyu Holy Sun said. The leader of the Life League, Immortal Wei Qian? So it's the Life League. Ha ha ha, Yin Chuan said with a smile. The Life League. A few days. He had just killed 5 Qi realm warriors from the League. You know him? Guyu Holy Sun asked. Was confused. Guyu Holy Sun. Guyu Holy Sun. Guyu Holy Sun. Is Guyu. I Gu Y and Sun. You is Y. Oh. Guyu Holy Sun squinted his eyes. Looking at Wei Qian and Yin Chuan, Guyu Holy Sun smiled and said, If that's the case, I won't force you. Guyu will remember the help you gave me today. If you have any problems in the future, you can find me at the Dezhao Holy Sun. Yin Chuan nodded. Inform everyone to head to the Demon Wind Mountain Range immediately. Guyu Holy Sun turned around and said, Yes. Everyone answered. As Guyu Holy Sun spoke, he soared into the sky. A cloud appeared under his feet. Everyone followed him. Some of them quickly returned to the Immortal Palace and gathered a large number of cultivators. All of them headed towards the Demon Wind Mountain Range. Those who could fly followed behind Guyu Holy Sun. Those who couldn't fly jumped on the ground and followed him. There were thousands of cultivators in the group. More than half of the cultivators in Liangjing left with Guyu Holy Sun. Watching Guyu Holy Sun leave, Yin Chuan pondered for a moment. The alliance leader of the Life League, Wei Qian? Yin Chuan squinted his eyes. While everyone was enjoying the nourishment of the divine dew rain, Yin Chuan returned to the table where the black-robed man was sitting. The black-robed man had already left. However, he left 3 words on the table. The 3 words were left behind with wine. Feng Yinyang. Feng Yinyang? Your name is Feng Yinyang? Yin Chuan looked at the 3 words in confusion. With a gentle wave of his hand, Yin Chuan wiped away the words written on the wine on the table and smiled. At least, he now knew the name of this feng shui master. Feng Yinyang. Chapter 272. Yin Chuan walked out of the flat mountain and slowly. Everyone was still recuperating. Yin Chuan looked at the entire Liang capital. Liang capital had been turned into a pile of ruins. Only a few people who were still alive were rolling on the ground in pain. Yin Chuan didn't feel that Yao Tianshang was in the wrong in this battle. After all, they stood from different perspectives and saw different problems. Humans cherish human lives, and demons cherish demon lives. Wiping out an entire city of civilians was like killing a bunch of demonic beasts. It was a normal thing. However, Yao Tianshang was not ordinary. A great demon from the north dared to provoke a sacred ground in the east. Whoosh! Whoosh! A large number of cultivators flew into Liang capital from all directions. All of them were shocked. What exactly happened in Liang capital? Was it destroyed? Yin Chuan ignored them and waited for his subordinates to get up. The first ones to get up were Zhu Jiansheng and the 7 swordsmen. After all, the 8 of them had higher cultivation. Phew, what a powerful divine do reign. I'm fully recovered. Nonsense. You couldn't have enjoyed that in the past. Everyone was talking at once. Zhu Jiansheng walked to Yin Chuan with a strange expression. Martial uncle, you're fine? Zhu Jiansheng asked with a complicated expression. Yin Chuan smiled and did not say anything. Martial uncle, I didn't expect your 3,000 embroidered uniform army to be able to use sound techniques. That's amazing. The 3 swordsmen laughed. Yeah, I didn't expect them to be so powerful. Martial uncle, something big must have happened in Demon Wind Mountain Range. Why don't we go in and take a look? The 4 swordsmen said with anticipation. As soon as the 4 swordsmen spoke, everyone looked at Yin Chuan with anticipation. Why? Do you want to go in? Yin Chuan laughed. Of course. With so many experts going in, something big must have happened. The 8 of us should join the fun. Even if we can't get what's inside, we can at least take a look. The 3 swordsmen said immediately. Then why don't you go in? Yin Chuan asked in confusion. Alas, we also want to, but our master won't let us. The 4 swordsmen said helplessly. However, martial uncle, if you're willing to go in, then we can go in. The 3 swordsmen had a fawning expression. Oh, our master can't stop you. Master told us to protect you. Wherever you go, we will go. As long as you go, we can go. The 3 swordsmen laughed. That's right. Martial uncle, why don't we go and take a look as well? Everyone nodded. Go away. Yin Chuan laughed and shouted. Thousands of demons have escaped from Demon Wind Mountain Range. Wouldn't we be courting death if we went in? We just need to kill the escaping demon beasts in the periphery. Yin Chuan said with certainty. Don't, uncle, listen to me. The 3 swordsmen tried to persuade him. Ming! Ming! Suddenly, 2 crisp and long cries resounded throughout the entire Liangjing. Everyone looked up. A green light flashed in the distance. The green light came from the horizon and arrived above Liangjing in the blink of an eye. That's fast, Zhu Jiansheng said in surprise. The green light stopped in the air and everyone could see it clearly. It was 2 green birds that were about 30 meters long. The green birds were extremely beautiful and emitted a gentle green light. Green wand? It's a green wand? The 3 swordsmen said in surprise. The 2 green wands flapped their wings and floated in the air. At the same time, they were pulling a white limousine. Chapter 273. Zhu Jiansheng exclaimed in surprise. Green wand pulling the carriage. Who exactly is inside? The carriage was like a huge house, but it was surrounded by a platform. 10 men stood on the platform. The 10 men's faces were very old-fashioned and expressionless. In front of the white carriage, there was a curtain. It was as if 2 maids were slowly pulling the curtain apart. Ka. The 10 old-fashioned men knelt on one knee and respectfully waited for the person to walk out of the house. This scene surprised many people. Who exactly was inside the carriage that was pulled by the green wand? Slowly, a woman in white walked out from the carriage. The woman was wearing a white veil, which made her look like a holy lotus flower. The woman held a jade flute in her hand and slowly stepped onto the platform. The gentle breeze blew the woman's hair, making her look extremely beautiful. The woman's face was fair and white, and she was extremely beautiful. Even though she was not as exceptional as Meng Rongrong, she was more elegant and refined. It made people hold their breaths when they looked at her, and they did not want to disturb her. I'm late. Let's continue on our way. The woman said softly. Caw. The 2 green wands seemed to understand human language and let out a long caw. At the flat mountain inn, Zhu Jiansheng and the 7 swordsmen looked at the holy woman, not wanting to disturb her. Only Yin Chuan's eyes were moist, and his whole body was trembling. Roa, are you Ro? Yin Chuan looked at the holy woman on the green wand carriage in disbelief. I'm Jean Ro. What's your name? Who wants you to send flowers? I don't like it. I don't like it. Why don't I keep one? Be your wife? Dream on. Hubby, Ro, I want to eat the ice heart lotus seed. Hubby, Ro, I will definitely give birth to a baby for you. No, give birth to 10 babies. I'll give birth to 10 babies for you. Oh, don't. It's broad daylight. How can you? Hubby, my father prepared this for me. I heard it's delicious. Let me feed you. Hubby, Ro, I will be leaving first. You must take care of yourself. Husband, I still remember the 3 lives flower you gave me that day. It was so beautiful, so beautiful, so beautiful. Zhenro, Yin Chuan's wife in his previous life. Yin Chuan's eyes gradually moistened as he recalled the past. The scene gradually froze in his mind. Zhenro had fallen into his arms, blood flowing from her mouth. Ro, you're still alive? Otherwise, why would you appear before me? You're alive too? Yin Chuan lost control of his emotions as he looked at the pure and holy woman on the blue phoenix carriage. Ming! The green Wan let out a long cry. Its body emitted a green light that shrouded the caravan behind it as it shot toward the Demon Wind mountain range. Ro! Yin Chuan roared in shock. Yin Chuan wished he could rush up and stop the blue phoenix carriage, but he was only in the essence realm. How could he stop it? Swish! The blue phoenix pulled the carriage and shot into the Demon Wind mountain range in an instant. Roa! Yin Chuan roared. Uncle Master, what's wrong? Zhu Jiansheng and the rest quickly supported Yin Chuan. Me? Yin Chuan came back to his senses and looked at the surprised Zhu Jiansheng and the rest. He ignored them and looked in the direction where the blue phoenix left with a trace of joy and bitterness on his face. He took a few deep breaths to calm himself down. Uncle Master, you called her Ro? Do you know her? Who is she? Zhu Jiansheng asked curiously. Yin Chuan shook his head. She's a very important person to me. Since you want to enter the Demon Wind mountain range, all right, let's go together. Really? Everyone was delighted. Yin Chuan looked into the distance with reluctance. He took a deep breath and said, however, we can't go in like this. We have to be fully prepared. Prepared? That's right. Follow my instructions. Chapter 274. Not bad. Follow my arrangements. Arrangements? Don't worry. As long as we go to the Demon Wind mountain range, we will listen to whatever Martial Uncle says. The 3 swordsmen were overjoyed. Let me think about it, Yin Chuan said. Yin Chuan stopped talking and returned to the Flat Mountain Inn to drink wine alone. The 3,000 members of the embroidered uniform army slowly recovered from their injuries. Even though they had just recovered from serious illness, they were all unusually excited. After all, many cultivators had rolled around in pain from the earlier clash of the zither sounds. Not only were they fine, but they had also destroyed this vast sound disaster. They were part of the ferocious tiger army formation. The embroidered uniform army looked at Yin Chuan with admiration. Zhu Jiansheng and the others looked at Yin Chuan in confusion. Yin Chuan looked at the ruins of the city and drank wine alone, as if he was thinking about something. After an hour, Yin Chuan looked at everyone with a determined expression. Zhu Jiansheng, 7 swordsmen. Yin Chuan called out. Here. The 8 immediately stepped forward and smiled. Are you really willing to follow my orders? Yin Chuan asked in a deep voice. Of course. The 3 swordsmen answered. Definitely. Zhu Jiansheng said excitedly. Good, I will arrange it for you now. Yin Chuan smiled. Oh, 4, 5, 6, 7, for swordsmen, I want you to go back to the Black Dragon Swamp where you killed the Flood Dragon. Yin Chuan said in a deep voice. At the bottom of the Black Dragon Swamp, you said there's a big hole that leads to the Demon Wind mountain range, right? Yin Chuan asked. That's right. What are we going to do there? The 7 swordsmen asked in confusion. Follow that big hole until you reach the end. Find me the entrance to the Demonic Wind mountain range. Enter the Demonic Wind mountain range through that big hole and meet up with me. Yin Chuan said in a deep voice. Why? The 7 swordsmen were confused. Leave yourself a way out, just in case. Yin Chuan said after some thought. Okay. The four swordsmen said, in surprise. Everyone wanted to go to the Demon Wind Mountain Range, but they did not think too much about it. Martial Uncle, the Demon Wind Mountain Range is huge. How are we supposed to find you? Asked the six swordsmen, puzzled. Yin Chuan said in a deep voice, Don't worry. This time, I'll enter the Demon Wind Mountain Range with a bang. When the time comes, I'll be able to find out what's going on. Everyone was puzzled. Just take care of yourself. Yin Chuan said. Oh, the four of them nodded. Zhu and Sheng, great swordsman, second swordsman, and third swordsman. Yin Chuan looked at the four people. Martial Uncle, what orders do you have? The four of them looked at Yin Chuan curiously. Judging from Yin Chuan's first deployment, Yin Chuan's thinking was much more appropriate than his. The four of you, go and spread the news now. Say that a heaven-class cultivation technique has appeared. I, Yin Chuan, saw it with my own eyes. It was obtained by the owner of a carriage pulled by a pair of green phoenixes. It's in the Demon Wind Mountain Range. They haven't left yet because they're looking for an even greater treasure. Yin Chuan said solemnly. Heaven-class cultivation technique? That lady in white just now? Zhu and Sheng said in surprise. Everyone looked at Yin Chuan in surprise. Yin Chuan said snappily, Of course they didn't get it. Moreover, there might not be any heaven-class cultivation technique in the Demon Wind Mountain Range. Martial Uncle, what do you mean by this? Zhu and Sheng asked in confusion. I still want to see her. Yin Chuan said, after taking a deep breath. Everyone was at a loss. Guyu Holy Sun spread the news that a heaven-class cultivation technique has appeared in the Demon Wind Mountain Range. Now, I'm just proving it for him. After all, not many cultivators know about this news. Soon, a large number of cultivators will gather here one after another. More and more cultivators will charge into the Demon Wind Mountain Range. The news that will make them lose their rationality is the heaven-class cultivation technique. Guyu Holy Sun said so, and now that I'm proving it for him, more people will charge in, Yin Chuan said in a deep voice. Chapter 275. True experts might not care too much about the heaven-grade cultivation technique. Only those below the God realm would go crazy for it. Of course, those in the early stage of the emptiness realm are also greedy. As long as everyone goes to look for her, I will know where she went. Yin Chuan took a deep breath and said, That girl didn't get the heaven-grade cultivation technique. If she knows that Martial Uncle is the one who spread the news, she might come to confront Martial Uncle. Zhu and Sheng followed this train of thought and said, Yes, I want to see her. Ask all the cultivators to help me find her. Ask her to come to me. Yin Chuan said with certainty. But will the girl in white be in danger? The three swordsmen asked doubtfully. No, those two blue wands are at the peak of the God realm or the emptiness realm. If she wants to leave, those in the early stage of the emptiness realm can't stop her. She won't be in danger. Yin Chuan shook his head. If she won't be in danger, then Martial Uncle, you will be in danger, not to mention the girl in white. Even some cultivators who don't believe you will come to you and ask. If they fight, won't you? Zhu and Sheng said worriedly. Yes, Martial Uncle. Are you going to give up your life for a girl? The three swordsmen said strangely. Don't worry. Yin Chuan smiled faintly. The 8 martial nephews felt strange. We will leave in 3 days. In 3 days, spread the news quickly. Say that I saw it with my own eyes. If anyone doesn't believe me, they can come to me at any time. Yin Chuan said in a deep voice. Oh, everyone nodded blankly. All right, 3 days later? Martial Uncle, will the girl in white leave in 3 days? No, she won't. ZZ said last time that she saw the Holy Sun of the Dazhao Holy Land and the Great Demon a few months ago in Carefree City. Obviously, it was Gu Yu and Yao Tianshang. They couldn't find a thing inside for a few months. It's impossible for them to find it in 2 or 3 days. Since she rode the blue wand, she must be looking for the thing inside. It must still be inside. Go, spread the news. Yin Chuan said in a deep voice. Good. All right. everyone said with complicated expressions. Obviously, Yin Chuan's plan had already exceeded their expectations. At the very least, no one could predict the future. Half a month later, in a huge canyon in the Demon Wind mountain range. Kill. Fire. Army destroyer. Kill, kill, kill. In the canyon, the sound of fighting soared into the sky. Huoguang was leading the embroidered army to fight against a pack of demonic wolves. The 3,000 soldiers were fighting in a frenzy. Their bodies were covered in blood, but they were becoming more and more proficient in the art of slaughter. Above the canyon, behind Yin Chuan, stood Lu Jin, Zhu Jiansheng, big, second, and third swordsmen. Everyone looked at the canyon. Zhu Jiansheng had a strange expression on his face. "Martial uncle, you brought 3,000 soldiers here. Will you be fine?" Zhu Jiansheng asked worriedly. "Yeah, when it's only you, martial uncle, you can think of a way to escape. But there are almost 3,000 people here. If we encounter the Demon King, we won't be able to escape. We will suffer heavy casualties." The third swordsman said with an ugly expression. "Who said so? Don't we have people to protect us?" Yin Chuan said with a smile. Zhu Jiansheng and the others turned around to look at the surrounding mountains. Sure enough, there were dozens of experts standing on the peaks. They were all Qi realm experts. "In the past 2 weeks, more and more people have been following me. Martial uncle, what should we do?" Chapter 276. What are you worried about? Isn't it good for them to protect us in the Demon Wind mountain range? Yin Chuan smiled. Protect. Everyone looked confused. Yin Chuan ignored them. They continued to watch Huoguang fight in the valley. At the peaks of the surrounding mountains, there were indeed many small groups at this moment. 2 white-robed sword cultivators stood on the peak of a small mountain. "Senior brother, is what Yin Chuan said true?" Yin Chuan said that he made an agreement with the woman in white to get a heaven-class cultivation method and make a copy of it. However, the woman went back on her words. So he brought 3,000 subordinates into the Demon Wind mountain range to find the woman in white and make her fulfill her promise. The other person said, "But why do I feel that it's fake?" "Fake? Is it fake? I think it's real." "Oh, if it's fake, would he dare to bring an Essence State cultivator into the Demon Wind mountain range? There are 3,000 Essence State cultivators there. Wouldn't he be walking into a tiger's den? It must be real if he dares to risk his life to come in. But if it's real, we should go find the woman in white. It should be easy to find her with the Qingluan carriage." "Find her? How?" "The Demon Wind mountain range is so big. Where can we find her?" "Just follow him." "Follow Yin Chuan? Why? He doesn't have the item. Are you stupid? Yin Chuan must know how to find the woman in white since he dared to come in. We can find her if we follow him." "Of course. The martial uncles will go find the woman in white. We just need to look after Yin Chuan. As long as he's fine, we can definitely find the woman in white." "Yes, senior brother is so smart. And what? The woman in white is definitely not easy to deal with. We might not be able to get the heaven-class cultivation method from her. However, as long as Yin Chuan gets the cultivation method, we, humph, get from Yin Chuan. You're so wise, senior brother. Besides, don't you see that the others are not willing to leave? Oh, we're not the only ones who are smart. They can see it clearly as well. If you leave now, you'll be giving up on the heaven-tier cultivation technique. You want to leave?" "No, I'm not leaving. I'll follow." The surrounding Xiuzhe all had their own ulterior motives. He looked at Yin Chuan, who was also protecting Yin Chuan. If there was a Demon King, the group of experts would attack together. If there was no Demon King, the embroidered uniform army would be practicing. For a time, Yin Chuan's team grew larger and larger. Half a month later, Yin Chuan and his group had gathered nearly 100 Qi realm experts. A group of people charged into the depths of the Demon Wind mountain range, and the number of people in the group was still increasing by the day. More and more, more and more. Even if they encountered God Realm beasts along the way, the God Realm beasts were all dumbfounded when they saw the mighty team and turned around to leave. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. Yin Chuan sat by a small lake. Boom! The aura emitted from his body caused ripples to appear on the surface of the lake. Third tier of the essence state? You're breaking through really fast, Zhu Jiansheng said with a smile. It's just along the way, Yin Chuan said with a smile. Zhu Jiansheng and the others were speechless. All right, it was just along the way. Why couldn't his cultivation be just along the way? Back then, he was full and hungry. Your Majesty, Hua Guang said with a frown. What's wrong? Yin Chuan was puzzled. During this period, we've killed too many monsters along the way. If we encounter more monsters, we won't have enough time to eat them. It's a burden to bring them along, Hua Guang said with a frown. Hearing Hua Guang's words, Zhu Jiansheng wanted to kick him. The demonic beasts ate too much. Too much. When I was cultivating, I had no monsters to eat and had to think of other ways. Now you're complaining that it's too much. Let's eat the high-level monsters. First, we'll eat the Qi realm monsters we killed. Then, we'll eat the monsters at the peak of the essence state. Just bring 2 days' worth of food. Throw away the rest of the monsters. Yin Chuan said lightly. Yes. Hua Guang nodded. The 3 swordsmen and the wine sword Immortal turned their heads away to avoid looking at the ugly faces of the nouveau riche. There are many monsters in the Demon Wind Mountain range, but you're too extravagant. Don't mock us like that. Chapter 277. In the Demonic Wind Mountain range. As the news of the Heaven-class cultivation technique spread, more and more sects rushed in. Some of them were aiming for the Heaven-class cultivation technique. Similarly, there were also some smart experts who knew that the Heaven-class cultivation technique was not as simple as it seemed. However, the Heaven-class cultivation technique would be more valuable than that. As the sects entered, their senior and junior brothers passed on the information they had gathered. In a forest, 4 figures were having a discussion. 7th brother, how is it? The other 3 asked. They were the 4, 5, 6, and 7 swordsmen of the day's sect. They had arrived at the demonic Wind Mountain range from the underground cave of the Black Dragon Pool. When the 4 of them arrived, there were already 20,000 practitioners in the demonic Wind Mountain range. Therefore, the 4 of them soon found other practitioners and inquired. The 7 swordsmen looked at the 3 and frowned. We have news, but what? The 3 of them were puzzled. I know where Martial Uncle Yin Chuan is, but it might not be peaceful there. The 7 swordsmen said in a strange tone. Oh, more and more practitioners are entering the demonic Wind Mountain range. Strange things are happening one after another. Don't you know? There are several grand demons living in the demonic Wind Mountain range. That's right. Grand demons are all emptiness realm demonic beasts. They're extremely powerful. This is also the reason why many practitioners don't dare to enter the demonic Wind Mountain range. The first news is that these grand demons have all disappeared. There are traces of battle in their nests. It's a mess. The 7 swordsmen said in a strange tone. Emptiness realm grand demons have all disappeared? Were they killed? I'm not sure, but they should be dead. Otherwise, the demonic beasts in the demonic Wind Mountain range wouldn't be running away in fear. The 7 swordsmen guessed. Okay, continue. The second news is that Guyu Holy Sun's team is getting bigger. There are 8,000 of them searching the demonic Wind Mountain range for him. The 7 swordsmen said in a strange tone. 8,000? Searching for him? So many? How? The 3 of them were surprised. It's mainly because of the life art. I don't know what happened to them, but they still sent half demonic Wind Mountain range for Guyu Holy Sun, and life Realm Mountain range for Guyu Holy Sun. So many people? What are you looking for? Are you crazy? The 4 swordsmen asked in surprise. Next up is our flashy martial uncle. The 7 swordsmen said with a strange expression. Oh, I heard that martial uncle and his 3,000 Imperial Brocade guards have been escorting them all the way here. The 7 swordsmen said with a strange look on their faces. 500? Qi State? Escort? Everyone was surprised. That's right. Guyu Holy Sun has gathered 8,000 people. Most of them are at the Essence State. Those who are at the Qi State and above may not be as many as Martial Uncle. Moreover, I heard that this team is still increasing. The 7 swordsmen said with a strange expression. Everyone was at a loss. Back then, Yin Chuan had said that it would be easy to find him and that he would have a spectacular life. The 4 of them didn't believe him at first, but now it seemed that the largest group in the Demon Wind Mountain range was Yin Chuan. What should we do? Are you going to look for Martial Uncle? 6 swordsmen asked curiously. Of course, we're going to find Martial Uncle. Martial Uncle's side must be very interesting. The 5 swordsmen's eyes immediately lit up. Then what are we waiting for? Yes, 7 swordsmen. Where's Martial Uncle? Follow me. At the peak of a mountain in the Demon Wind Mountain range. Chapter 278. Guyu Holy Sun stood at the top of the mountain with a group of experts, looking down at the devilish wind mountains under the clouds. One Ruo, Wei Qin, and the others stood behind him. Several subordinates stood respectfully in front of Guyu. Holy Sun, this is the news we received, the subordinates said respectfully. Guyu Holy Sun took a deep breath and squinted his eyes. Yin Chuan, not only Guyu Holy Sun, but the other experts were also shocked. Mr. Monroe, what do you think? Guyu Holy Sun asked calmly. Mr. Monroe smiled bitterly. Holy Sun, you used fame, power, grace, and affection to invite everyone to help you. Yin Chuan used benefits that you can see but can't touch to tempt you. And he might be doing this to protect himself. Self-protection? Self-protection? 600 experts above the Qi realm to protect him when he's in the Essence realm? This Yin Chuan is really good, Guyu said with a complicated expression. Holy Sun, I think this Yin Chuan is despicable. Wei Qin, the leader of the Life League, said in a low voice. Oh, Guyu said calmly, when Ruo raised her eyebrows slightly. Holy Sun humbled himself and invited him to enter the devilish wind mountains, but he refused again and again. If he really didn't want to enter the devilish wind mountains, as he said, it would have been fine. But he followed us in and didn't give the Holy Sun any face. Despicable. Also, he used the news about the Holy Sun's heaven-level technique to recruit free bodyguards. Despicable. Wei Qin said coldly. Guyu frowned slightly. Haha, Immortal Wei Qin, you're wrong. Holy Sun released the news about the heaven-level technique to convince everyone. Yin Chuan confirmed it to help the Holy Sun. What's there to be angry about? Mr. Monroe immediately laughed. Huh? Wei Qin frowned and looked at Mr. Monroe. Guyu Holy Sun took a deep breath and said, If he wants to come in, let him come in. Forget it. Yes. Wei Chan nodded and didn't say anything else. Is there any news about Yao Tianshang? Guyu Holy Sun asked solemnly. No, but it seems like Yao Tianshang is not going to let this go. He might ruin the Holy Sun's plan. Mr. Monroe frowned. Spoil my plans? Humph, he's not worthy. That group of adventurers opened the ancient seal, and all of them were cursed. They would die as soon as they stepped out of the Demon Wind Mountain range. Most of them died, and only brought back some information. There are still 2 people who are definitely somewhere in the Demon Wind Mountain range. Once we find them, we'll know where the ancient seal is. Guyu Holy Sun said in a deep voice. Holy Sun, don't worry. The Life League will definitely find them. Wei Qin said in a deep voice. Spiritual Master Wei Qin, thank you for your hard work. After this battle, I will reward you on behalf of the Dazhao Holy Land. Guyu Holy Sun said calmly. Thank you, Holy Sun. I'll go and ask my disciples to hurry up. Wei Qin smiled. Okay. Guyu Holy Sun nodded. Wei Qin flew into the valley below. Guyu Holy Sun narrowed his eyes and smiled coldly as he watched Wei Qin fly down the mountain. Below, in a big tent, there are more than 20 people standing in front of Wei Qin. All 20 of you are in the Qi state. I have a mission for you, Wei Qin said in a deep voice. Please give us your orders, League Master. Assassinate Yin Chuan. 20 Qi state cultivators are enough. Wei Qin said in a deep voice. Senior brother, assassinate Yin Chuan? Why? Now? Someone at the side asked in surprise. He's Yin Tao's vile spawn, and he'll seek revenge on us sooner or later. Judging from this trip to the Demon Wind Mountain range, This little bastard is quite capable, so we must eliminate him before he grows up. Otherwise, there'll be great trouble sooner or later," said Wei Chan in a low voice. "Yes." The person beside him nodded. "Don't worry, Alliance Master. Yin Chuan is just an elite state cultivator. 20 of us are more than enough to kill him, let alone assassinate him," the 20 Chi state cultivators said confidently. "Go." Wei Qi nodded. Swish. 20 Chi Jing warriors quickly rushed out of the tent. "Senior brother, aren't you making a mountain out of a molehill?" 20 Chi Jing warriors against one Essence Jing warrior? Perhaps. Wei Qin also felt that he was being overly sensitive. At the mouth of a vast lake in the Demon Wind mountain range, on a small hill, Yin Chuan led Zhu Jiansheng and the others to look at the interior of the lake. Boom, boom, boom. Above the lake, the water was churning nonstop. Blood flowed from the bottom of the lake, and crocodile carcasses floated to the surface. The crocodiles in this lake have also suffered. I have seen your army. It is like an army of locusts. Wherever they go, not even a blade of grass will survive. Many monsters have suffered from this unexpected disaster. Zhu Jiansheng laughed. Hua Guang and the others can kill monsters on land. They must be able to do the same in the sea. Otherwise, sooner or later they will be at a disadvantage. It is better to train them now. Yin Chuan laughed. But they have just reached the essence state not long ago. They should not be used to breathing underwater through their pores. You are too fast. Fast? They're already in the essence state. Do they still need people to teach them? They must know everything. Yin Chuan shook his head. But Zhu Jiansheng and the others were still a loss. But no more buts. Don't eat the crocodile feast tonight. Yin Chuan laughed. Don't pretend I didn't say anything. Zhu Jiansheng immediately stopped talking. Ha ha ha. The three swordsmen and the others laughed. Not far away, the cultivators who were standing on the mountains were in a dilemma. Yin Chuan's journey was like a training ground. They wanted to leave now, but they were not willing to. Look, there were already hundreds of Qi realm cultivators guarding the lake. If they left, wouldn't they give up in vain? It was like waiting in line. When you're halfway through the line, you know that there's a long line in front of you, but you are unwilling to give up because there is a long line behind you. The cultivators were from different sects, so they restricted each other. For a time, they were strangely harmonious. They only hoped that Yin Chuan would be on his way soon. Whoosh, whoosh, for figures came from afar. They slowly floated up and looked around the lake. They were the 4, 5, 6, and 7 swordsmen. The 4 of them looked around with a surprised expression. 800? There are at least 800 Qi realm cultivators. Martial Uncle is too troublesome. The 7 swordsmen were surprised. Yeah, there are 800 of them. It is easier to invite a god than to send them away. These people have been protecting Martial Uncle all this time. If they don't get what they want, they will end up like this. The 6 swordsmen said with a strange expression. 6, don't talk nonsense. Remember our mission. Master told us to protect Martial Uncle. The 4 swordsmen said in a deep voice. Protect? Are you kidding me? Does he want us to protect him? 800 Qi realm cultivators. They will be able to rampage wherever they went. Each of them can drown us with their spit. The 6 swordsmen said with a strange expression. Everyone. Boss, they saw us. Let's go. The 4 swordsmen said. Okay. Everyone nodded. Then they all flew towards Yin Chuan. Chapter 279. Xiao. The 4, 5, 6, and 7 swordsmen landed beside Yin Chuan. Martial Uncle, big brother. The 4 swordsmen greeted. When the 4 arrived, the eyes of the 800 Qi Jing practitioners lit up. Did someone come to find Yin Chuan? This was different from before. It's good that you're here. Yin Chuan said calmly. Have you found the place? Don't tell me you don't remember the way back. The 3 swordsmen laughed. Of course we know. Just follow us. The 4 swordsmen laughed. As soon as the 4 swordsmen finished speaking, all the sounds of birds, beasts, insects, and fish disappeared. The 800 Qi Jing practitioners who were whispering to each other also became quiet. Everyone's spirits were suddenly shaken. The place? Where? The white-clothed lady with the blue phoenix pulling the carriage? Yin Chuan asked the four of them to find the place. We guessed right. If we follow Yin Chuan, we will definitely find the Tian level skill book. We didn't wait in vain. The surrounding practitioners started to discuss again. At the same time, their eyes were filled with hope. The four swordsmen were surprised by the sudden change in the environment. What? Did I say something wrong? The four swordsmen were confused. You didn't say anything wrong. Yin Chuan laughed. Pung! Above the lake, a pillar of water shot out. A 10-meter-long azure crocodile soared into the sky. However, a spear pierced through its abdomen. The one who came out of the water after that was the slightly injured Huoguang. Pung! The crocodile was thrown to the shore. Huoguang was the first to jump onto the shore. Pung! 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 A large number of crocodiles jumped out of the water. The genie army brought their trophies and rushed out. In the blink of an eye, there were 500 crocodile corpses on the shore. King, the mission is complete, Huoguang said excitedly. Set up camp and eat. Yin Chuan nodded. Yes. The 3,000 embroidered uniform army soldiers quickly got busy. At this moment, the faces of the surrounding 800 cultivators stiffened. Stop to eat and rest again? Don't you know where the woman in white is? Go quickly. What would happen if she left? Although the Xiuzhe were anxious, there was nothing they could do. After all, Yin Chuan still needed to personally ask for the heaven-grade cultivation method. He could only wait. After setting up camp and cooking delicious food, Yin Chuan started to eat in the headquarters tent. Accompanying them were Huoguang, Lu Jin, Zhu Jiansheng, and the 7 swordsmen. Uncle, there are already more than 800 Qi Jing warriors. Aren't you worried at all? 6 swordsmen asked curiously. What are you worried about? Yin Chuan smiled. You're worried that they'll harm you. 6 swordsmen was confused. Will it? Why not? The 6 swordsmen were puzzled. Because they're not a single entity, I am safer. Yin Chuan laughed. Mutual restraint? The 3 swordsmen asked curiously. Yes. Moreover, if there is any danger, these 800 Qi Jing warriors will come to your aid. Huoguang also laughed. Xiao. Just as everyone was talking, a stone suddenly shot into the tent. Dong. The stone hit Yin Chuan's table. Xing. Xing. The group of swordsmen pulled out their swords and looked at the stone in surprise. Yin Chuan looked at the stone and sneered. Someone is trying to assassinate me. Who? Huoguang immediately stood up. Chapter 280. Yin Chuan nodded. Huoguang acted as if nothing had happened and walked out of the tent with the wine. Outside the tent, there were many soldiers eating crocodiles. Brothers, the king asked me to give you a toast. Now that we are outside, there is no wine, so we will use meat as a substitute. Ha! Huoguang laughed. Sir, everyone stood up. Huoguang held the wine cup in one hand and made a strange gesture with the other. The gesture was normal, but all the soldiers' pupils shrank. Long live the king! All the soldiers raised the meat and congratulated. While eating the meat, the soldiers chatted and divided into different groups. Inside the tent. Assassination? Martial uncle, how did you know? Zhu Jiansheng was surprised. This is a reminder from one of the 800 practitioners. Yin Chuan smiled as he looked at the pebbles on the table. Who? Zhu Jiansheng was curious. Who? How would I know? They helped me find out. We just need to be more careful. Yin Chuan laughed. Assassination? What should we do? The 3 swordsmen were worried. What are you worried about? Huoguang is already there. Don't worry about them. Let's continue eating. Yin Chuan laughed. Everyone was confused. Martial uncle is too carefree. Even if someone tries to assassinate him, he won't care. While everyone was eating, Huoguang raised his cup and walked around the 3,000 soldiers. Some of the soldiers disappeared without them noticing. On a hill not far from the main tent, 20 Qi Jing assassins sent by Wei Chan were all staring at the main tent. Boss, I saw it. Yin Chuan is in the tent. One of them said coldly. There are 800 Qi Jing cultivators outside. There are 8-day sex Qi Jing cultivators in the tent. The others are not a problem. The leader said, 8-day sex Qi Jing cultivators are not a problem. The main problem is that there are 800 Qi Jing cultivators outside. They are all waiting for Yin Chuan to lead the way. If we assassinate him, won't they be angry? Angry? Whatever, we must complete the mission given by the alliance leader. We must rush into the tent. You 8 block the 8-day sex Qi Jing cultivators. The 12 of us will attack at the same time and kill Yin Chuan. Once Yin Chuan is dead, we will retreat. It will be too late to save the 800 cultivators. The leader said, Boss, we will escape after killing Yin Chuan. No one will be able to stop us. Well, since it's confirmed, let's begin immediately. I'll count to 3, and we'll move out together. Yes. Whoosh! 20 black figures instantly shot towards the central tent, like 20 sharp arrows. They were so fast that the countless cultivators in the surroundings could not react in time. The 20 assassins arrived in front of the tent and were about to enter. Bang! Suddenly, 500 rays of light shot towards them. 500 shooting sun arrows were aimed at the 20 assassins. Huh! The 20 assassins' faces changed. Bang! The assassins spat out their chi walls one after another, and a powerful aura spread out. Boom! 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 The shooting sun arrows were blocked by the air wall, but the power of the 500 shooting sun arrows was enormous. When they hit the air wall, the speed of the assassins suddenly slowed. Some of the assassins were even knocked back by the force of the shooting sun arrows. Not good. The assassin leader's face changed. Shoot! Bang! You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.